Chapter 52:21. These people were indeed very powerful the moment they appeared. They didn't take God Lord Black Death's words seriously. Before seeing the samsara cultivation technique, they might not have thought much of it. The Great Void sect would never be able to reach its former glory. But now their thinking had changed. Because the strength Chu Qingqing had displayed made them feel that something was different. Chu Qingqing had only been here for a short period of time. They had heard that Chu Qingqing wasn't very strong in the past. She had actually been able to block an attack from a half-step eternal expert, even though it wasn't very strong. But it also made them feel an invisible pressure. If they were given a few more decades, the people of the Great Void sect would only get stronger and stronger. At that time, they would become a peak faction once more. So they came out now. If they didn't come out now, it would be too late. Looking at the people coming out one by one, Chu Qingqing finally smiled. This smile was noticed by all of them. Seems like there are quite a number of people eyeing our Great Void sect's primordial spirit reincarnation technique. Each and every one of them are top-notch powerhouses. How shameless. But since you've all come out, I'll give you all a present. This is a gift I've specially prepared for you all. A seal was instantly opened. After the seal was opened, a fist shadow shot through the air. It appeared right in front of them. The moment the fist shadow appeared, everyone was startled. An aura of destruction swept through them. Even God Lord Black Death and the others were taken aback. Not good, we've been tricked. They had walked right into a trap. This seal was the power of the seal that Lin Fei had left behind. It was a fist technique. As soon as the fist technique was unleashed, it instantly swept across. The space in front of it instantly collapsed, leaving behind a huge hole. It was such a huge disturbance. This punch encompassed all of them, the half-step eternal level experts. They had been destroyed by a single fist. Even those who had been watching from afar were speechless, not daring to make a sound. If these half-step eternal experts had all been destroyed, didn't that mean that the Great Void sect had the strength to destroy half-step eternal experts? Sending a 10-star over was no different from sending food. Let me also give you a word of advice. It's not that easy to take things from the Great Void sect. If you want to take things from us, then show me what you've got. As long as you're stronger than them, then come at me. I'll be waiting. Chu Qingqing faced everyone just like that. Those people were completely terrified. Even the players fighting against Samsara's group were stunned into a daze. Samsara and the others also burst forth instantly. Without the restriction of treasures, they were simply no match for Yi Shiwen. In the blink of an eye, they were completely wiped out. The people in the distance immediately fled in all directions, not daring to stay. This was definitely a terrifying scene. So many half-step experts had been killed. The news also spread at the first possible moment. Many people couldn't believe it after hearing it. Then, he confirmed that this was indeed the case. This Great Void Gate's Chu Qingqing was too scheming. She had probably lured these people out on purpose. This time, he had really become a big joke. The Great Void Gate was ferocious. An eternal level powerhouse. Even if she didn't, she probably had an eternal level treasure. Who knew how many more treasures like this would appear? Anyway, no one dared to touch it for a long time. He killed 8 half-step experts in one go. It's too scary. They couldn't even block a single punch. They were killed instantly. Who dares to look down on the Great Void sect in the future? I don't have such thoughts. Black Shadow Demon, who had been watching them, was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't believe that there was such a method. Hiding at the first moment? Too terrifying. Fortunately, he didn't barge into the Great Void sect. Otherwise, even 10 lives wouldn't be enough. Chu Qingqing was too good at calculating. She had included everyone in her calculations. Black Shadow Demon was worried that those people would find trouble with him. After all, he was the one who released the news. And those sects had lost half-step experts. None of them could sit still. Naturally, they didn't have the intention to deal with the Great Void Sect. She killed so many half-step experts with one punch. A total of 8 half-step experts made them not dare to have any thought. Of course, he would have to change his target. Hence, the Black Phantom was unlucky. Countless people began to hunt him down. After all, he was the one who released the news. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come at all. Even if they had the guts, they wouldn't have dared. Now that there were no half-step experts left, if they didn't kill him, who would they kill? They still wanted to find the Great Void Sect. There was something wrong with their brains. Even if they had 100 guts, they wouldn't dare to be presumptuous in the Great Void Sect. Chapter 52-22. On the other hand, Lin Fei didn't pay much attention to the Great Void Sect's movements. But when the seal was activated, he more or less felt it. This was what he had left behind before. He just wanted to sense it, but he didn't expect it to react so quickly. He had underestimated those guys' abilities. Gathering people to attack the Great Void Sect so quickly, these people probably suffered a big loss. The power of the seal swept out, and no one could stop it. Don't forget, the current Lin Fei could erupt with eternal-level combat power. Whoever came would be unlucky. Even a half-step expert would be the same. He didn't know how many powerhouses he had killed this time, but he would probably receive news soon. As for the person who could watch him leave in the dark, even Lin Fei felt that it was quite incredible. He didn't notice anything at all, which meant that this guy was quite capable. He was extremely good at spatial manipulation. Someone who could hide from him. Otherwise, no one would be able to hide anything from him. Fortunately, he didn't go back. The Great Void Sect could also deal with it. Lin Fei had made this trip precisely for the sake of buying that time treasure. As long as he bought that treasure, it would naturally be different. With enough time, he could grow stronger. Therefore, this treasure was very important to the Great Void Sect. It was also very important to Lin Fei, as it could advance time by hundreds or thousands of years. Along the way, Lin Fei finally arrived at a vast universe. There was a huge city in this universe, which was Lin Fei's goal this time. This was a huge imperial capital, and there was a world tower here. This world tower was also very large, and its headquarters was also very powerful. As for the headquarters being too far away, Lin Fei didn't go there. Instead, he came here, which was one of the 3 branches second only to the World Tower headquarters. It was the most powerful 3, and any one of them had a good influence, no less than the headquarters. With an expert overseeing it, it was also very safe. As soon as Lin Fei entered this city, he felt a strong aura. There was a very strong one overseeing it. There was a very strong aura, and it was especially thick. There was more than one such aura, which meant that there wasn't just one eternal-level powerhouse sitting here. There were at least 2 of them. Only the world building could do something like this. However, the world building wasn't very interested in the outside world, so it didn't get involved. They do business, buying and selling information. It was that simple. Lin Fei left early in the morning and returned late at night to find out the news. There was indeed a powerful time treasure in the World Tower. As for the name of this treasure, it was unknown. In any case, the number of people who came to fight for this treasure was definitely not small. Everyone was discussing the ownership of this treasure. Even some of the top forces were present. It could be said that it was quite sensational, but only in this place. Of course, they wouldn't think too much about it. If it was any other place, it would have been snatched clean by others. Thus, Lin Fei continued to stay in the inn. This stay lasted for almost half a month. It wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. Soon, the day of the auction arrived. On the day of the auction, one needed a special invitation to enter. One had to have a membership card of the world building, but this membership card required a senior membership card to be eligible to enter. Otherwise, there was no chance at all. Without a senior membership card, it meant that one couldn't afford this thing at all. Lin Fei's luck was quite good. He did indeed have a high-level membership card on hand. It was obtained by buying things in the past. This time, it came in handy. As soon as he arrived at the venue, he felt a strong aura. Some of these auras were strong and some were weak. Of course, most of them belonged to the so-called experts. These experts didn't need to guess to know that they were all from the top forces. They were all here for these treasures. As for other things, Lin Fei really didn't know. Of course, he received a lot of news. That meant that there should be a lot of good things in this auction. Whether you could get it or not depended on your financial resources. Anyway, it was very intense. After coming in, Lin Fei went all the way to the auction hall. The hall here was very big, as if he had come to a new space, as expected of the world building. Even the auction place contained the space aura of the space. He could see everyone coming in, but he couldn't feel each other's existence for a while. It was that amazing. Lin Fei found the most inconspicuous place and sat down. He knew that this was the function of the space, isolating everyone here. He could feel that everyone had come in, but they were not in the same place. It was as if they were separated. This kind of method was really praiseworthy. At least he didn't have to worry about anything happening. Chapter 52-23. Lin Fei found a place to sit down. After that, he slowly began to wait. Gradually, more and more people came. Even if one sat nearby, one could feel a vague feeling. One couldn't even tell the origin of the other party or what their name was. The only thing one knew was that someone had come. This kind of method was an eye-opener for Lin Fei. There really was a way to do things in this world. For an auction like this, he didn't have to worry about his whereabouts being exposed. It seems that some big shots have also come, but they aren't near us. They should be in some private rooms. Lin Fei felt some powerful auras coming over. Most of them should be at the half-step level. These half-step level existences definitely came from big sections. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any of them. How could it be a rogue cultivator? Even if there were 10,000 of them, there wouldn't be even one at the half-step level. Only in the sects could one easily cultivate the existence of a half-step rank. Not long after, Lin Fei sensed a few more powerful auras. These powerful auras were all at the eternal realm. Their bodies weren't very strong, but they all cultivated eternal laws that belonged to the eternal power. That is, the so-called law power. 1, 2, 3, a total of 7 eternal realm powerhouses have come. One of them is very strong. He should have cultivated at least 2 or even 3 laws. He's definitely at the top. So far, he hadn't fought with any powerful eternal realm powerhouses, but he could feel it. One of the auras here was indeed the strongest. He was probably at least ranked in the top 10 of sections. The competition this time seemed to be quite fierce. Lin Fei didn't plan to make a move. He could only wait and see if he could take advantage of it. In order to obtain such a treasure of time, even if he bid for it, he wouldn't be able to take it out easily. By the way, if you haven't signed in today, why don't you sign in here? A strange idea came to Lin Fei's mind. This place was different from other places. If he could sign in here, he might be able to get something. If it was something good, the probability of getting it would be very high. Lin Fei didn't hesitate. This was what he liked to do the most now. Sometimes he would sign in the morning, and sometimes he would sign in at the latest. Anyway, he just had to sign in within a day. Ding! Sign in successful at the World Tower branch. Obtained Heavenly Eye. Can see through all movements in the surroundings and transform into a supreme expert. Heavenly Eye. Lin Fei was shocked. It seemed like he had signed something good. Then, he saw an eye in the system. This eye was very mysterious. It looked as if countless eyes were gathered together. Without any hesitation, he refined the Heaven's Eye energy. With this refinement, Lin Fei's vision began to become incomparably clear, directly becoming the vision of God. Was this the entire world building? After refining it, Lin Fei could see the situation. Especially this place that he was auctioning off. Many figures were sitting there. The faces of these figures could also be seen very clearly. Even the private rooms in the distance were the same. In other words, the formation set up by the World Tower was no longer of any use to him. He could see it clearly. He could even see clearly what was going on in the private rooms. Some of the private rooms only had 2 people in them. Some of the private rooms had several people in them. Some of the private rooms had top powerhouses. One of the private rooms piqued Lin Fei's interest. There was a white-haired old man inside. This old man didn't seem to exist at all. However, Lin Fei could sense the strongest aura emanating from him. This was the guy who had cultivated several laws. He was actually so strong. He appeared in such a private room with a woman. "Miss, we will definitely be able to get these time treasures this time. They definitely won't be able to imagine that there is an enviable law of time inside these time treasures." The white-haired old man suddenly stopped. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked around. "Is there a problem with the private room?" It was a young woman with long hair. This woman was very calm, like the water of the Rui well. "I just felt that someone was staring at me just now, but I didn't feel any movement around me. I think I was overthinking. The World Tower still has a good reputation." Lin Fei was also observing here. He didn't expect to hear such big news. This time treasure contained a law of time. It was no wonder that such a powerful expert would come. This expert was quite perceptive. He sensed it immediately. Fortunately, his heaven's eye was of high quality. There were no energy fluctuations. Otherwise, it would be really bad. Chapter 52-24. Lin Fei did not continue to use the heavenly eye to check the situation in this box. After all, he already knew a lot of information. He kept moving. The boxes here were not small. There were actually 20 to 30 boxes. Every private room was filled with experts. They were at least at the half-step Eternal Realm. In particular, there were actually real Eternal Realm experts in several boxes. Although they were not as strong as the old man in the previous box, they were not weak at all. If he underestimated them, he would definitely suffer a lot. After a round, Lin Fei had a rough idea in his heart. There were a total of 30 to 50 half-step experts and a total of 12 Eternal Realm experts. The old man was the strongest of them. This heavenly eye is really a good thing. It lets me know who is the strongest in these boxes and who has a chance to get this time treasure. Before, Lin Fei could only rely on guessing. Of course, he could also rely on other means. But now that he had the heavenly eye, it was completely different. It was like mastering a secret which could be used to do a lot of things. There was nothing to care about. Now what he had to do was to wait for the start. More and more people came. Even the private rooms were starting to fill up. After half an hour, it was finally time for the show to begin. A figure appeared in front of them. It was a young figure. When this young figure came out, it surprised many people. "Who is this? He looks so strange. He looks like a newcomer." "There's something wrong with your eyes. He's not a newcomer. He's the World Tower's 9th young master." "No way, he's the World Tower's 9th young master. I heard that his cultivation is ordinary, but he has a pair of incredible eyes that can see through everything." Over the years, the World Tower has obtained a lot of treasures, all of which were made by the 9th young master. Many people's voices rang out. Lin Fei heard them clearly. He had also noticed this young man just now. However, he was indeed quite young. But looking at him now, it was indeed quite different, because his eyes were always closed. He didn't open them at all. He looked like a blind person, but when he didn't open his eyes, he wasn't much different from an ordinary person. "I'm very glad that everyone has come to the World Tower. Today, let me host the auction for everyone." This kind of auction was quite different from other auctions. Lin Fei was also looking forward to it. Although this person called Young Master Jiu was quite mysterious, it had nothing to do with him. He didn't have any interest in it. What they needed to do now was to find out who had obtained this time treasure. That was the only way he could get his hands on it. As for bidding openly, his financial resources were far from enough. Most of the time, it was obvious that they were at a disadvantage. After all, they were the top experts of the major forces, who didn't bring enough money. Therefore, what Lin Fei had to do was to wait. Whoever had it, Lin Fei would have the opportunity to obtain it. No matter how strong they were, it was impossible for them to wait for someone who had been watching them from the shadows. Lin Fei really didn't believe it. Today, the first item to be auctioned is a very common one. It's a substitute treasure of the half-step eternal realm. Just a single treasure was enough to surprise everyone. People like them naturally didn't care about ordinary items. At the very least, it was a half-step eternal substitute treasure. None of the people here didn't have some wealth, so they all had smiles on their faces. They could compete for it. In fact, this was really the case. Any item that came next would be very competitive. Lin Fei just sat there and watched. He didn't make a move at all. Half-step eternal substitute treasures were really priceless. They were worth at least tens of millions of cosmos god stones. They weren't cheap at all. The most expensive half-step eternal substitute treasure was sold for 100 million cosmos god stones. That was not a small number. Many people couldn't earn this number in their lifetime, and they couldn't even earn a fraction of it. But now, a treasure had reached such an astronomical figure. As expected of the World Tower, the things they could sell were all good things. None of the items were left unsold. They were all auctioned off. Lin Fei watched from the beginning to the end. Half an hour passed. Almost an hour and a half had passed. Finally, it was the Asian treasure's turn. There are a total of 3 treasures for today's auction. The first one is an eternal pill, which can instantly burst out the combat power of an eternal realm expert. Chapter 52-25. Of the final 3 treasures, the first one had already caused a frenzied scramble. This was because it was a medicinal pill that could enhance one's strength. The eternal level powerhouses were extremely tempted. The most intense competition was among the eternal level powerhouses in these private rooms. After Lin Fei obtained the heavenly eye, he could see everything clearly. In the end, the price really reached a terrifying number. It reached more than 1 billion. Such wealth wasn't something that anyone could come up with. As a result, one of the private rooms took it down. It also made many people secretly suck in a breath of cold air. What was a top force? This was a real top force. The other party's wealth was monstrous. It was impossible for these people to compete for such a medicinal pill. Lin Fei also knew that the last treasure, the time treasure, was definitely not that easy to get. It would probably cost billions. It might even reach the level of 10 billion. Who asked such a time treasure to stretch the timeline so far? Anyone would definitely have an idea about it. The penultimate treasure was a defensive armor. This defensive armor was also very extraordinary. Could absorb a certain amount of attacks. In other words, no matter how strong a person was, their strength would be reduced by a certain amount. In this way, it was almost impossible to deal with the other party in the same realm. The price of this defensive armor wasn't very high. It was only about 1.4 to 1.5 billion. Compared to the previous medicinal pill, it wasn't much higher. The last treasure that everyone is looking forward to is here. It's also the treasure that everyone wants the most, the time treasure. Finally, it was everyone's turn to be the most excited. That treasure finally made its appearance. Indeed, everyone was very concerned about it. One must know that this treasure was the reason why many people came here. In an instant, the minds of the people in the private room became a lot more lively. They finally saw the true face of this treasure. This turned out to be a miniature grotto heaven small world, and it was actually refined into a treasure. It was indeed quite incredible. It just appeared in front of everyone. It's that time treasure. The flow of time is stronger than any other treasure. This treasure is called Meteor. Everyone's eyes fell on this time treasure. Even Lin Fei was the same. It could be seen clearly. He could see that the treasure was real. After activating it, they could feel that the time inside was indeed passing very slowly. This kind of time flow was really the most suitable for cultivation. No wonder they were all tempted. If he could cultivate in such a place, his strength would definitely increase by a large margin. This treasure was refined by the famous time boss, the #1 time boss. Perhaps everyone has heard of him. You can imagine how powerful his treasure is. Young Master Ju said again. Everyone was shocked. It was actually that person. It was no wonder that it could have such a strong range. That person was a top time expert. He was ranked first in the entire river of spacetime. Such a big boss was indeed not someone that anyone could go against. Furthermore, the treasures that he personally refined were definitely very effective. Previously, many people were guessing who could create such a treasure of time. If it was the time boss, things would be completely different. Only the treasure refined by him could be considered a true treasure of time. Others would have to step aside. This treasure is also very rare. I used a lot of methods to find it. I've seen many places in the river of spacetime. Therefore, the starting price of this treasure is 50 billion. If the previous price was more than 1 billion, people would indeed feel that it wasn't very high. But this treasure was different. It directly set a threshold. 50 billion. Not just anyone could take this treasure. Even Lin Fei was surprised. It really exceeded his imagination. It actually reached such a huge number. Not just anyone could afford it. Only a true top faction could take it. Fortunately, I signed into Heaven's Eye. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know whose hands this treasure would end up in. At that time, the people in these private rooms would definitely carefully send this treasure away. At that time, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven to find it again. Lin Fei couldn't afford this treasure. It wasn't a price that ordinary people could afford either. He could only wait. Chapter 52:26. The price of 50 billion was indeed not a small number, and many people were stumped at once. The competition was very intense. It jumped from 50 billion to more than 80 billion in an instant. Then, it jumped to 100 billion. This number could be said to be a huge number. Even many people secretly sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard this number. If they went to buy it, they wouldn't be able to. This treasure was really priceless. Who would be able to get it in the end? Lin Fei had been observing. With his heaven eye, he realized that the people in the boxes were quite good at calculating. Some of them didn't even bid. They just waited here and gave them a fatal blow. Some people bid right from the start, looking rich and overbearing. Of course, the young lady in the box that he was looking forward to the most didn't bid. She was very calm. The price rose all the way to 120 billion. At this point, there were fewer and fewer people bidding, no matter how rich they were. Lin Fei knew the secret of this time treasure. It contained a law of time, which was a good thing. It was priceless. Therefore, the person in the box would definitely bid. He just had to keep an eye on it. As for the others, Lin Fei didn't see anything special about them. However, they shouldn't be weak. There were some young people who came. He didn't know if they were here to broaden their horizons or for some other reason. The God Dragon Valley bids 130 billion. Everyone, don't fight with us. A voice came from one of the boxes. His voice was loud and clear, so everyone could hear him clearly. Of course, there were even more people who were shocked. Of course, they knew about the God Dragon Valley. It was a very powerful place and everyone there was an expert. They were related to the dragon race and could invite experts from the dragon race. Therefore, the God Dragon Valley was very famous and could be considered a top faction. Is it amazing that the God Dragon Valley bids 130 billion? The White Bone Mountain bids 135 billion. Follow me if you have the ability. If one were to say that the Divine Dragon Valley was more shocking, then this was even more different. This was quite domineering. It was a top faction and the entire sect was located in a forbidden area. There was nothing else in the forbidden zone, but there were plenty of white bones. The white bones were as high as mountains. Their cultivation techniques were also quite terrifying. Who would have thought that they would also be fighting for this treasure of time this time? The people in the 2 private rooms immediately confronted each other. It seemed that he wasn't going to give up so easily. The people in the 2 private rooms immediately raised the price to 150 billion. The white bone mountain was slightly higher. Over there were no signs of activity at all. 150 billion going once. I don't know if anyone wants to continue bidding. 150 billion going twice. The price offered by White Bones Mountain was indeed quite tyrannical. This price was no longer a small number. Just when everyone thought that the White Bone Mountain would be taken down, a low voice floated out from a private room. I was wondering how high the price would be, but it turns out it's only 150 billion. How disappointing. The House of God Ordainment will offer 180 billion. The first 2 sects had been very powerful, but now that the House of God Ordainment was here, everyone gasped in shock. This was a truly powerful existence. A top-notch existence that could be ranked in the top 30. As for the previous 2, they were at most in the top 100. They were still a long way from the top 30. Who could have guessed that the House of God Ordainment would also participate? From the look of it, they weren't going to let this treasure go. 180 billion. Many of the people in the private rooms had already given up on the idea of competing. The same could be said for the White Bone Mountain. In terms of strength, they really couldn't match up to the House of God Ordainment. The House of God Ordainment had been around for generations. Lin Fei was starting to get a bit nervous. Was the person in the private room not going to make a move? Even now, Lin Fei couldn't tell who they were, but he could tell that they weren't some small organization. At the very least, they had to be at the very top. The only thing he wasn't sure was if he could compete with the House of God Ordainment. The House of God Ordainment had already bid 180 billion. Lin Fei also noticed the House of God Ordainment. There was only one black-robed patriarch in the House of God Ordainment. It was impossible to see his facial features clearly, as they were hidden beneath his robe. However, Lin Fei knew that this fellow was definitely a top-notch eternal-level powerhouse, and one of the old-timers at that. If he took it, it would be a bit troublesome. It wouldn't be easy to get it back. If they don't make a move, this House of God Ordainment will be a bit difficult to deal with. Chapter 52:27. The price offered by the House of God Ordainment was truly shocking. They were an established organization, so it was only natural that they would make such a bid. The only question was whether or not the other people in the private rooms would make a bid. One had to know that there were quite a lot of people who had come this time, but they weren't very clear who they were. Some were very strong and some were very weak. If it was just the House of God Ordainment, then it wouldn't matter. They would definitely win the auction. That was the right to decide who would own the temporal treasure. If someone else came along, it would be a completely different story. The price would definitely jump to 200 billion. That was an astronomical figure. This was the epitome of wealth. The other people in the private rooms all felt the pressure weighing down on them, and couldn't help but tremble in fear. Of course, they were trembling in fear. As for the 9th young master, he was especially excited. This time, the price had been roughly 15 million. Now the price had risen to 180 billion, and the House of God Ordainment had made an appearance. That was what made people feel the most excited. It seemed likely that the price would break 200 billion, which was a very rare thing. Not even once in 10 years had something like that been going on for such a long time. House of God Ordainment, 180 billion, going once. House of God Ordainment, 180 billion, going twice. The 9th young master's voice was so loud and clear that everyone could hear him clearly. Lin Fei was starting to get nervous as he realized that the other people in the private rooms still hadn't made a move. Were they going to give up? It seemed he had gotten excited for nothing. Could it be that they had some trick up their sleeves to steal the treasure? Lin Fei was starting to get a bit excited. After all, this woman was different, and the old man next to her was even stronger than the black-robed man. If they really fought, he would have a good chance of winning. The House of Immortals bids 200 billion. At the last moment, the woman in the private room opened her mouth. Her crisp voice was like a gospel, instantly calming everyone's mood. Even the people in the other private rooms felt the same way. Of course, there were even more people whose faces fell. The House of Immortals? How is that even possible? It hasn't happened in 1,000 years. How could it be happening again? The last time one appeared was 2,000 years ago. How could there be another one? The House of God Ordainment is in trouble. Who can tell me what the background of this immortal sect is? Everyone seems to be very afraid. Could it be that it has a very, very powerful background? Many people were curious. After all, the term immortal sect sounded very high and mighty. The House of God Ordainment was similar, but the two Zhong Wens were different. It was unimaginable. Even Lin Fei was surprised at this moment. He didn't expect that the person in this private room had such a powerful background. Entering the Celestial Gate. When it came to the word immortal, Lin Fei was especially sensitive. This sect should be completely different from other sections. This gate ascending immortal has quite a background. I heard that it's an immortal Tao legacy that was left behind a long, long time ago. I heard that if they cultivate the technique to the pinnacle, they'll be able to break through to the immortal world. No way. No wonder they waited so long to make a bid of 200 billion. This is going to be a lot of competition. The House of God Ordainment was terrifying. And then there was the Gate Ascending Immortal. The competition was going to be intense. No matter how much they thought about it, it was obvious that it was going to be as high as 250 billion. So, you're from the Gate Ascending Immortal sect. In that case, the House of God Ordainment doesn't want you. When it comes to wealth, we can't match up to you. So, you're from an immortal sect? Well, the House of God Ordainment doesn't want you. The black-robed old man on the other side spoke, and then there was no more sound. Everyone knew how powerful the House of God Ordainment was. They were one of the top 10 organizations in the world, and yet they were giving up just like that. But now they were giving up just like that. Could it be that this Gate Ascending Immortal sect was even more terrifying than the House of God Ordainment? Even more terrifying? Or was the old man right? This was a legacy from the Tao of Immortals? Lin Fei was also surprised. Now he knew why they had waited until the very last moment to make a move. Even the people in the private room had to step aside when they heard the words, Gate Ascending Immortal Sect. Just look at the House of God Ordainment, and it was obvious that no one would dare to give face to them. From the looks of it, he also had a powerful background, yet he still gave him face and gave up just like that. Lin Fei breathed a sigh of relief. He knew that it wouldn't be easy to get his hands on a treasure of time. He just wasn't sure if the House of God Ordainment had other plans, and there were other organizations. Chapter 52-28. 200 billion was the final price. No one else dared to bid. After all, the influence of the House of Immortality was obvious. If the House of God Ordainment had given up on it, how could anyone else do the same? The other party took out 200 billion Cosmos God Stones in one go, which was not a small number. Anyone who could afford it would be able to bid 300 billion, 400 billion, or even 500 billion. Congratulations on entering the House of Immortality for acquiring this meteor treasure, the 9th young master announced. Lin Fei breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he could enter the House of God Ordainment and get the treasure, he would have a chance. If someone else took it, Lin Fei wouldn't be able to keep up. But entering the House of Immortality was a different story. After all, Lin Fei was an eternal expert. Although he hadn't yet cultivated magical laws, his body was already strong enough, and with his reincarnation nascent divinity, His fighting prowess wasn't weak at all. Even ordinary eternal-level powerhouses would be able to fight them. And that wasn't to mention the fact that he had other treasures. The first thing Lin Fei did was check out the private room, hoping to learn more about what was going on. The Heaven Eye was simply amazing to use. I never would have guessed that the old bastard from the House of God Ordainment would give up. I thought he was going to keep bidding. But it seems he's going to cause us a lot of trouble. The old man chuckled. It doesn't matter, the young woman said. The young woman said, it doesn't matter. As long as this meteor treasure is in our hands, we can take away the law of time. This treasure's effect will be reduced by at least half. No one knows that the true essence of this treasure is this law of time. Once we successfully refine this law of time, we can control time, and the future within time. She was speaking casually, as if she didn't care about the House of God Ordainment at all. Lin Fei had learned a secret, and he was surprised that the magical laws of time were different. Furthermore, they were the ultimate magical laws of time that ordinary people could cultivate. However, taking away the magical laws of time would reduce the effectiveness of the treasure by more than half. Even so, Lin Fei could tell that it was still very powerful. If one day could be equivalent to 500 days, then 1 year could be equivalent to more than 300 years, or even 400 to 500 years, which was quite worth it. That person from the House of God Ordainment is definitely a top expert, and he definitely won't give up easily. Whether or not I can get this thing will depend on whether or not he makes a move. If he does, I'll have a chance. Lin Fei knew it would be like this. There was no way the experts from the House of God Ordainment would give up so easily. He gave up too easily. Hence, he went to look at the people in this private room. The expert from the House of God Ordainment was wearing a black robe. The gate of immortality has appeared. You guys can prepare yourselves. The fish has finally appeared. There shouldn't be many people coming, probably only 3 or 4. With our combined strength, we can actually capture them in one fell swoop and find the location of the Gate of Immortality. Lin Fei heard it as soon as he arrived. He was releasing information to the outside world, but the amount of information was a little too much. Originally, they thought that they were after the time treasure. Now, it seemed that they were after the two of them. Furthermore, they had been able to divine the location of the Gate of Immortality. In other words, the Gate of Immortality was a catalyst to draw the people from the House of God Ordainment out into the open. Was it possible that the Gate of Immortality had lived up to its glory days? Or did the House of God Ordainment have other information? All of a sudden, Lin Fei's curiosity was piqued. After the meteor treasure was successfully auctioned off, the auction came to an end. Originally, he had assumed that everyone would leave from their original location. Never could he have guessed that a door would appear right next to them. Of course, Lin Fei was even more certain of one thing. This auction house really was a top-notch spatial treasure. Once they left this place, they would have nothing to do with each other. No one would ever know who had bought the item. It was a very impressive move. Lin Fei was using his Heaven's Eye to make use of some of the tricks that he had just acquired. Otherwise, he would have been in a very bad position to catch up to these people. In the blink of an eye, he was outside of the World Pagoda. Just as he had imagined, it would be very difficult to find any traces of the Gate of Immortality. However, Lin Fei could sense 2 auras, one in the south and one in the north. Incredible! They were actually quite a distance away, and one of them seemed to be heading in a certain direction. He didn't need to guess to know that it was someone from the Gate of Immortality. The Invincible King of Upgrade will continue to update. There will be no ads on the site, so please bookmark it and recommend it. Chapter 52-29. That was one of the unique abilities of the Heavenly Eye. As long as Lin Fei was within a certain range, he would be able to get a general idea of where they were. In fact, it was almost as if they were 2 points on the same compass. It didn't matter how they moved, Lin Fei was able to see them. Picking a quiet place, Lin Fei used his heavenly eye. It was almost as if he were a manifestation of the Tao of heaven, and he was able to see a figure moving at high speed. It was none other than the black-robed old man from the House of God Ordainment. This guy's speed was quite fast. He had crossed a large distance in almost an instant. He was really ferocious to the point of being a complete mess. If Yang Qi's guess was right, he was heading toward the House of Immortals. However, it seemed that not all of his people had arrived. Whoosh, whoosh. One by one, figures walked out of the void in an instant. By this point, the black-robed old man was standing in one of them. "The people from the House of Immortals are here," he said. "There's no way they'll ever guess that I have a treasure that can sense the location of the House of Immortals. They're right up ahead. Let's go together. With so many people on our side, we'll definitely be able to take them down." The black-robed old man had a treasure in his hand that looked like an identity medallion, except that it could only point in one direction. It was almost like a compass, which was completely inconceivable. These people were all incredibly strong, and although they were keeping their auras hidden, Lin Fei could tell that they were eternal experts. They were eternal-level powerhouses. 5 of them were in the eternal level. They weren't young, and they radiated ancient auras. Some of them even had traces of death energy. As of this moment, Lin Fei realized why they were chasing the House of Immortals. Considering their cultivation levels, if they wanted to advance further, they would have to go to a higher level. There were no higher-level places in the universe, but the House of Immortals seemed to have a way to reach higher levels. No wonder they were being targeted, and had even used a treasure like this to lure them out. Although they were plotting against the House of Immortals, Yang Qi wasn't sure if they were plotting against the House of God Ordainment. These two sects should have always been at odds with each other. Lin Fei's thoughts turned quickly. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to find a treasure so quickly, and they even managed to lure someone out. Lin Fei didn't have time to check out the situation on the side of Immortal Sect. After all, the few eternal-level experts here were indeed quite powerful. They discussed and then took action. On the other side, the 2 people who were trying to ascend the Immortal Gate were constantly moving. Their speed was even faster than the black-robed old man. The 2 of them took out their treasures and moved quickly. Seeing this, Lin Fei immediately followed. It would be bad if he left his position. Within a certain range, it didn't matter. Lin Fei would be able to keep an eye on their movements, just like now. Lin Fei also went all out, and his eternal-level body came in handy. They should be coming after us. Did the House of God Ordainment really think I didn't know they were using that treasure to lure us out? The young woman's voice was as cold as ice. The House of God Ordainment and the House of God Ordainment have been enemies for years, and they've never been able to do anything to us. In fact, we've killed so many of their top experts. After all these years, they haven't improved at all, and now they're coming after us. Well, I'm going to wipe them out completely. The young woman's voice was filled with killing intent, and it was as cold as ice. Excellent. They were well aware of the House of God Ordainment's character, and it was obvious that they had suffered quite a bit in the past. This was going to be a good show to watch. As long as they started fighting, Lin Fei was confident that he would be able to get his hands on the treasure. The chances of that happening before had been low, but now they were high. He was definitely going to get his hands on the treasure. He was actually looking forward to it, and wasn't particularly interested in the magical laws of time. It was a treasure that would be very useful to the House of Great Void. There was no way he was going to let this opportunity slip by. The House of God Ordainment and the House of God Ordainment were moving incredibly quickly. Thankfully, Lin Fei had 99 nascent divinities. Only his eternal-level fleshly body could keep up. Not daring to get too close, he kept to the outermost ring. This kind of situation was more or less in Lin Fei's grasp. No matter how much trouble they made, the result would be the same. It was going to be a great show to watch. All he needed was a stool to crack some melon seeds and enjoy the show. Chapter 5230. Just like that, Lin Fei continued to chase after him. Eventually, he realized that they had all stopped. He knew that the people from the House of God Ordainment had some sort of trick up their sleeve. If he wasn't mistaken, they were going to fight the people from the House of God Ordainment. It seemed they were going to give the House of God Ordainment a big blow. It seemed he could just sit back and enjoy the show. Just like that, Lin Fei came to a stop on a mountain. He wasn't very far from where he had been. He didn't dare to get too close. Who knew if they had some sort of trick up their sleeves? It would be best to let them fight first. Lin Fei was a good thinker. At the very least, he couldn't let himself be exposed, otherwise he would miss out on a good opportunity. Meanwhile, inside a small valley, the two people from the House of Immortals had stopped in their tracks. It was as if it was waiting for someone. From the beginning to the end, there was no movement. In the blink of an eye, a few figures appeared in the valley. Ha ha ha. I never thought we'd meet again. I thought you people would have some sort of trick up your sleeves, but it seems you didn't. How disappointing. Just like that, they walked in. Behind them were the eternal level powerhouses. All of them were staring at a man and a woman. You guys really came. What should I say to you guys? The old man said, chuckling. The old man wasn't surprised at all, nor was the young woman next to him. She didn't move at all and just stood there quietly. If I'm not mistaken, you must be the current holy daughter of the House of Immortals Ascension. God Heaven's revelation looked over at the young woman. I heard that in every generation, the House of Immortals Ascension only has one holy daughter. She's the strongest, and the position of House Lord has always been hers. Am I right? Lin Fei was taken aback. Was this House of Immortals Ascension really different? It was actually a holy daughter who was the House Lord. This was even more extraordinary. After all, the House of Immortals Ascension sounded different. Apparently, the House of God Ordainment was very powerful. They even had information like this. It seemed they had a deep connection to the House of Immortals Ascension. It seems you people from the House of God Ordainment have a lot of information. That's right. I'm the current holy daughter Luolan. Luolan chuckled. Since you know that the holy maiden of the immortal sect is here, you still dare to come? Aren't you afraid that all of you will die here? You people might be eternal experts, but not even the House of God Ordainment could match up to you. Luolan's voice was very soft, but it was filled with an invincible might. Even the expression of the black-robed old man, Shen Tianqi, changed slightly. He was incomparably furious. Back in the day, the House of Immortal Ascension dominated an entire era, and our House of God Ordainment wasn't a match for them. But in the end, they wiped you out. I bet you're only a handful of big cats left. Other than you, no one else is a match for them. Shen Tianqi snorted coldly. I'll cut to the chase. Tell us about the passageway to the immortal plane, and you fellows might be able to leave this place alive. Otherwise, once we attack, you fellows can forget about leaving. That's right. Tell us about the passageway to the immortal world, and we'll let you live. Otherwise, you're dead. With so many of us working together, even if you're from the House of Immortal Ascension, we have nothing to fear. If you tell us about the House of Immortal Ascension, we'll have nothing to say. But times are different now. You too are different. The eternal experts were all gathered around Luolan. If Luolan didn't agree, they would immediately attack. They desperately needed the passageway to the next high-level world. The immortal world was their best option. It was a magnificent place, and if they could get their hands on the passageway to the immortal world, they would definitely be able to survive. You people really are ignorant, Luolan said. Back in the day, the House of Immortal Ascension controlled the passageway to the immortal world. In fact, we were its representatives. But now that the passageway is closed, the House of Immortal Ascension is no longer its representative. Do you really think we can create one for you? I don't care if you're the representatives of the immortal world or not. You definitely know about the passageway to the immortal world. That's how simple it is. Shin Tianqi's gaze turned cold. Don't make us do it ourselves. The two of you can't stop all of us. Rumble. All of a sudden, a massive wave of power rolled out. In the blink of an eye, the valley collapsed, and Luolan erupted with a terrifying energy field. A Jingguang appeared, spiraling through the air. Chapter 52:31. Even Lin Fei, who was far away, could sense the great change. In an instant, the entire valley was reduced to ruins. The ruins were shrouded in layers of shadows. No one could see them clearly at all. Fortunately, Lin Fei was using the celestial eye, which allowed him to see everything clearly. He saw that Luolan's body was covered in shackles. Even the old man beside him was covered in shackles. It turned out that the two of them had been attacked by a treasure at some point. Shin Tianqi laughed out loud. You guys definitely didn't expect that I had set up a trap in this treasure just for you guys to use. Even if you guys have some tricks up your sleeves when you ascend to the immortal sect, do you think you can withstand the trap that I have prepared for you? They all laughed heartily. We've planned for a long time to prepare a trap for you. This treasure is a top-notch treasure from ancient times, specially used to trap people. No matter how powerful you are, do you think you can control it? The famous immortal binding rope is said to be used by the great experts of the immortal realm in the past. Although it's an imitation, it can still exert 10 to 20% of its power. With the power of the immortal binding rope, no matter how powerful you are, do you think you can withstand it? Lin Fei couldn't help but sigh. These fellows were really astute. They'd even used a trick like this. They'd indeed planned to catch them off guard. Who could have imagined that such a treasure would be hidden in this treasure of time? It was even more unbelievable. They'd used it on a treasure which had definitely caught them off guard. Previously, both of them were bound tightly by the immortal binding rope, and there was a feeling of being tightly bound. Shin Tianqi and the others laughed heartily, looking very pleased with themselves. They'd waited a long time for this day, and they'd finally been lured out. Now you know that we're right. Since we've lured you out, we'll definitely have a trick to deal with you. I know that the most powerful trick you can use to ascend to the immortal realm is the immortal path. Shin Tianqi seemed to have learned about the method of entering the sect of immortals. He even knew what the method was. After getting hit by my immortal binding rope, things will be completely different. Even if you have a sage technique, you won't be able to use it. You can only obediently accept your fate. Luolan and the old man's expressions didn't change much. You think you can take us down with such a method? You guys are really underestimating the immortal sect. There was a loud bang. The old man's body was covered in multicolored light. With a loud rumbling sound, the immortal binding rope wrapped around his body was blasted away. An invincible beam of light blasted the treasure away. Next, the invincible beam of light transformed into a huge torrent that rushed over. The expressions of Shin Tianqi and the others changed instantly. They released their treasures one after another. Beams of light appeared in front of them. In an instant, he managed to block the attack. The expressions of Shin Tianqi and the others changed drastically. You're actually so strong. Late stage Eternal Realm. This attack made Shin Tianqi and the others feel a lot of pressure. Even Lin Fei could see that this old man was quite strong. He turned out to be at the late stage Eternal Realm. He didn't know if he was at the early stage or middle stage Eternal Realm. Lin Fei's body didn't have anything else. He just kept on tempering it. Therefore, his body was very powerful. At least, whether it was this old man or Shin Tianqi, their bodies were average. If Ning Qing wanted to make a move, as long as the sneak attack was successful, he could blast their bodies apart with a single punch. This was the benefit of having a strong body. The method of entering the sect of immortals isn't as simple as you think. Since you guys came, none of you should even think about leaving today. The old man gave a cold snort and attacked again. Behind him, there was a divine light. This divine light contained infinite immortal charm, which made it completely different from the others. Thunder descended in an instant, turning into a thunder zone. A loud rumbling sound rang out. It kept shuttling around them. It turned out that this old man cultivated the law of thunder. The law of thunder was already quite powerful. Now that he used it again, it naturally changed. I already knew that you cultivated the law of thunder. It just so happens that I have a thunder treasure here that can restrain your method. Voila! A bead floated in the air, and all the thunder attacks converged towards this bead. It turns out that you brought a thunder bead. You're quite confident, Luolan said. Chapter 52-32. Lin Fei hadn't expected the fight to begin. Whether it was the House of Immortal Ascension or the House of God Ordainment, the fighting prowess of both sides was top-notch. Multicolored light spread out to cover the entire area, and some people who wanted to see what was going on couldn't get in. They were directly affected by the shockwaves. Lin Fei was the only one who could see what was going on. He was glad that he hadn't gone over to help. Only the old man from the House of God Ordainment was fighting. As for Luolan, he hadn't made a move at all, as though he didn't care about these people at all. They're really strong. But it looks like Luolan is going to make a move soon. If he doesn't, he won't be a match for them. That old man is clearly going to lose. Lin Fei's eyes were very accurate. Xin Tianqi from the House of God Ordainment had a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He had prepared quite a few treasures that could absorb attacks and keep them at peak fighting prowess. In contrast, the old man's attacks were much weaker. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before Luolan made a move. Rumble! A huge explosion rang out. The old man staggered backward several paces. His clothes were in disarray, and blood was oozing out of the corner of his mouth. Xin Tianqi laughed heartily. It seems you alone aren't enough to stop all of us. Holy daughter, why don't you make a move? If you don't, you won't have a chance. Xin Tianqi also breathed a long sigh of relief. Their combined strength was indeed very strong. However, this old man's strength had far exceeded their expectations. Only Luolan was left. Since the old man wasn't as strong as they had imagined, he should be able to take care of both of them. In that case, the trip hadn't been in vain. With so many eternal experts on their side, dealing with just two people was a very difficult task. Even some of the eternal experts were paying close attention to the situation, and Xin Tianqi was using all sorts of methods to prevent them from spying on him. In other words, no one would know what was going on inside. At the very most, they would know that he had eternal experts on his side. As for who or how many of them, he had no idea. Xin Tianqi was a very particular person. Naturally, he did not want this matter to be exposed. Although it attracted the attention of the other eternal powerhouses, they never knew that there was another person secretly watching them. That person was none other than Lin Fei. He could see everything clearly from the beginning to the end. Xin Tianqi, you're indeed very strong. It's the same for you eternal experts as well. In order to deal with the two of us, you've truly put in a lot of effort. Not only did you use all sorts of treasures, you even set up a heaven-defying technique. Luolan glanced at these people. Since you want me to take action so much, I'll take action. It's been a long time since I've taken action. I don't even know if it's been 1,000 or 2,000 years. Ever since my strength reached major success, I've never really taken action. You can be considered as having the qualifications to witness our methods of ascending the immortal sect. Luolan's voice wasn't very loud, but it still made Xin Tianqi and the others feel an invisible pressure. One had to know that the previous generations of saintesses had all become sect masters, so their abilities were naturally not weak. At this time, they naturally had to be careful. If he wasn't careful, he wouldn't even know when the boat would capsize. Voila! Luolan made her move. Just like that, a hand stretched out, pure white as jade, and gave it a light slap. Immortal seal. 5 colored rays of light formed a huge seal that instantly appeared in front of Xin Tianqi and the others. When the palm seal appeared, Shun Tianqi and the others instantly gathered all their techniques and activated a supreme treasure. They even laughed out loud. I knew that you would definitely use immortal technique. I've been guarding against you. As soon as he said that, with a crash, their treasures were instantly locked in place. Following that, a force that was like a tidal wave crushed over their bodies. Luolan stretched out her hand again. A sacred sound descended. Immortal destruction. An earth-shattering power instantly exploded from their bodies. It was something that they couldn't withstand at all. One by one, they vomited blood. In just a single exchange, Luolan had injured these eternal experts, and their injuries weren't light at all. I wonder how my technique is. Is it to your liking? Chapter 52-33. Lin Fei knew that Luolan's attack would not be simple. It was just as he had expected. He was indeed very strong. His technique was also very strange. It actually contained a trace of aura. This aura was very similar to the immortal Dao aura that Lin Fei had seen before. No wonder his technique was so fierce. Shen Tianqi had been looking forward to it. Now it seemed that it was true. He had defeated all the eternal experts with just 2 moves. Now, you still want to learn about the entrance to the immortal realm from me? That place doesn't exist at all, and you don't have the chance. If you still want to try, then I'll use an immortal Dao technique again to kill you all. Shen Tianqi and the others were indeed injured, and their injuries were not light. They felt very uncomfortable, especially when Shen Tianqi had gathered so many people and so many techniques. It was hard for him to accept that he could not do anything to these 2 people. He had completely underestimated Luolan's ability. He was much more terrifying than he had imagined. Shen Tianqi coughed up blood as he swallowed an elixir. As expected of the immortal sect, every generation of the sacred maiden is the strongest. You have mastered all the immortal Dao technique. If it had been any other technique, Shen Tianqi would not have paid so much attention to it. However, this immortal Dao technique was very powerful. It was impossible to resist it. The opponent was even more powerful. So, you still want to try again? If you want to try again, then I will fulfill your wish. It is indeed a pity for an eternal-level powerhouse to die. Luolan's gaze swept across them. With this sweep, the expressions of some of the injured eternal experts changed. They retreated. They were no match for this person. We suffered a loss this time, but we won't be so lucky next time. Shen Tianqi did not continue to attack. He left immediately. The others did the same. They had no intention of attacking at all. Even with so many people working together, they were no match for him. Moreover, they were alone. They were definitely courting death. Therefore, the figures retreated one by one. The surrounding techniques were all removed and everything returned to normal. This area had already been turned into ruins, and it was very different from before. Let's go. Luolan and the old man quickly left. Lin Fei continued to chase after him. He felt that there was something wrong with Luolan. Under normal circumstances, Luolan would definitely kill all of them. Since she had used 2 immortal Dao techniques, how could she not use a 3rd immortal Dao technique? Therefore, Lin Fei felt that there was something wrong with this woman. That was why he was in such a hurry to leave and didn't try to kill them all like before. If it were Lin Fei, he would have definitely killed all of these people. After all, these people were all eternal powerhouses. Wait, that Shen Tianqi actually caught up with us again. He is indeed a smart guy. He has shaken off the others and is probably going to enjoy all the secrets for himself. If it wasn't for the heavenly eye, Lin Fei wouldn't have known that Shen Tianqi would be able to catch up with him. At this moment, Shen Tian used a different method and completely disappeared without a trace. It had completely fused with the space. He must have used some special method. This was the first time that Lin Fei had seen such a method. It was very mysterious. Without the heavenly eye, he wouldn't have been able to see through it. I'm not the only one who wants to take advantage of things. It seems that Shen Tianqi is also here. He is quite bold. How could Lin Fei not know what Shen Tianqi was thinking? He was probably going to take advantage of things. When Luo Lan left, he was already billions of miles away, traversing countless worlds. Finally, she entered a mystic realm. This mystic realm was also quite dangerous, but it was nothing compared to the two of them. At the core of the mystic realm, a temporary cave abode appeared. The two of them entered the cave abode and activated many methods. Wah! Luo Lan immediately vomited a mouthful of blood. The old man next to her immediately took out an elixir. Saintess, it's all my fault. I couldn't stop them and caused you to use an immortal Dao technique. Every time you use this technique, your body gets injured. The old man looked guilty. Luo Lan swallowed the elixir. It's all right. We are fated to fight. Even if we don't do it today, we will do it another day. She was really injured. Chapter 52-34. Lin Fei had felt that there was something wrong with Luo Lan. Now, he finally knew what was going on. It turned out that Luo Lan was guarding her wounds. No wonder she didn't use the third move of the immortal path. She had probably used it twice, which was beyond her limit. The third move would probably take half of Luo Lan's life, or even her whole life. That was also why she had let them go. Finally, the truth came to light. It seems that this immortal Dao method isn't that easy to use. It's probably not something that can be used in this world. That Shen Tianqi Sui left and then came back. He probably saw through this and wanted to take advantage of it. Previously, Lin Fei didn't understand much. Now, however, he understood the entire situation. Shen Tianqi was quite powerful. He had returned at this time. They would probably suffer again next time. Lin Fei decided to observe the situation from the outside. He would let Shen Tianqi attack first. Maybe he could get such a treasure. If Luo Lan and the others couldn't stop Shen Tianqi, he would secretly give Shen Tianqi a fierce blow. He might be able to leave a good impression on them. This time treasure didn't seem to be of much use to them. Only the law of time inside could be of use to them. Shen Tianqi probably didn't know that there was an important thing inside. He thought it was a treasure, but Shen Tianqi didn't care about the treasure, but the thing inside. Luo Lan took the elixir, and a loud buzzing sound came from outside. The whole process didn't take long. Then, a figure rushed in. He laughed loudly as soon as he came in. Luo Lan, I didn't expect you to be injured. It seems that the immortal path technique isn't that good. Is it really because I don't know that it's so easy to cultivate? Divine Demon, Heaven Slash. Shen Tianqi rushed in and laughed loudly. He slashed with his saber. This saber wasn't complete, but half. Even though it was only half, it instantly exploded with invincible power, crushing Luo Lan and the old man. Even though their bodies were shining, they still couldn't withstand this saber. They were flipped over. Shen Tianqi panted heavily after using this move. It seemed that he had expended a lot of energy. But when he saw that both of them were seriously injured on the ground, he heaved a long sigh of relief. You actually knew that I was injured. Even if he was injured, Luo Lan was not as terrified as he had imagined. Instead, he was as calm as ever. This was something that no one could compare to. Shen Tianqi said, Of course I know you're injured. Not everyone can use immortal Dao technique. In the past, you could indeed use them when you visited the sect of immortals. However, things are different now. If you want to use immortal Dao methods and have a strong body, you have to reach the eternal level at the very least. Your body is not at the eternal level at all. That is why you will only be injured if you use this immortal method. This is also the reason why you can only use it twice. If you use it thrice, it will take your life. Shen Tianqi looked extremely pleased with himself. Only the people from the House of God Ordainment know about this, Yang Qi said. I was the one who held them back so you could use your immortal Dao technique. If you don't, how am I supposed to capture you? I cultivated a special technique of the House of God Ordainment to capture you too, Yang Qi said. It's a God-Devil technique. Although it's only one move, it's enough to unleash the full power of my patriarch's broken saber. As I suspected, you really are injured, and can't stand up to my god-devil heaven slash. Shen Tianqi finally knew that he had made the right bet. He brought so many people over to help Luolan use his immortal method. Even if he was injured. Now, it seemed like it was worth it. He had finally taken down this Luolan. No one else knew that he had such a secret. This was a top secret. Very few people knew about it. Not to mention at this time. No matter how you schemed and schemed, Yang Qi said. With someone like you in the house of God ordainment, you're definitely going to lead them back to glory. Unfortunately, you miscalculated one thing. Luolan looked at Shen Tianqi. That's because you're not the only smart one. If that person doesn't make a move, you won't stand a chance. You're just putting up a last-ditch struggle, Luolan. You think you can scare me that easily? Shen Tianqi didn't take him seriously. He was far too naive. Boom! A beam of fist light shot out and pierced through Shen Tianqi's body. In the blink of an eye, cracks spread out all over him. Chapter 52-35. This attack came without a sound, not even the slightest movement. Shen Tianqi had no chance to notice it at all. His body was pierced through. A wave of power spread out from within his body. With a loud rumbling sound, Shen Tianqi was sent flying. A figure walked in just like that. You are indeed the holy maiden of the immortal sect. You are indeed different. You can even sense this. The one who attacked was naturally Lin Fei. He had been watching all along. Of course, he was also constantly closing the distance between them. It was because Shen Tianqi had already entered. If he wanted to deal with Shen Tianqi, he had to close the distance. This caught him off guard. However, he did not expect Luolan to have such insight. She actually knew that someone was watching here. She even knew that he would attack. However, Shen Tianqi did not take it seriously. Lin Fei grasped this opportunity and directly pierced through Shen Tianqi's body. Shen Tianqi was severely injured with a single punch. He was already seriously injured. Coupled with the celestial demon Heaven Slash, he had little combat power left. He could not withstand Lin Fei's punch at all. He was directly pierced through. Who are you? Why didn't I notice anything at all? There is no one around. Shen Tianqi got to his feet and suppressed his injuries immediately. Even so, he still felt extremely terrified. He did not know that there was such a great expert around. This person had directly broken through his defenses with a punch. This person was at least an eternal level expert. Moreover, he was a body-tempering cultivator. He was exceptionally strong. The burst of power just now was just a little bit away from killing him. Who I am is not important. What's important is that you should not be here. If you want to take advantage of me, you should first see if you have the ability to do so. Lin Fei laughed loudly. 99 primordial spirits manifested and instantly slashed at Shen Tianqi. Shen Tianqi was shocked again. Lin Fei's punch pierced through. Shen Tianqi was completely in despair. With a whoosh, his entire body turned into a sky full of shadows. A bright light flashed past with him. I will remember you. You stole something from me. Don't expect to have a good life. This punch missed completely. It did not hit Shen Tianqi at all. Lin Fei also knew that this guy was quite cunning. He even knew how to follow behind. Naturally, he had something that could save his life. Just now, this life-saving method seemed to be very powerful, and no one knew where it went. Since this fellow had already escaped, he couldn't be bothered to deal with him. His gaze once again landed on Luolan. The Saintess is indeed the Saintess. She's really different. She even knows this. Actually, Lin Fei was quite surprised. Luolan was able to see through such a situation. In other words, this Saintess was more powerful than he had imagined. Luolan was as calm as ever. At that moment there was a slight difference. This person was quite strong. He walked the path of the primordial spirit and his body was exceptionally strong. It could be said that he cultivated both internally and externally. This kind of ability was not something that could be achieved by just a few people. Actually, I don't know if anyone is following me. However, I have an innate ability that allows me to sense that someone seems to be staring at this place. It's beyond my imagination. I didn't expect it to be someone so young. I can only say that Shen Tianqi is unlucky. An innate ability? Of course, Lin Fei wouldn't take it seriously. He could only say that Luolan had other tricks up her sleeve. Since you've discovered me, guess what I'll do next? Now, apart from me, there's no one else nearby. Even Shen Tianqi won't be coming back anytime soon. He's probably recuperating somewhere. Didn't you follow me for the passageway to the immortal realm? If I told you that the passageway is really gone, would you believe me? Luolan was indeed quite surprised. This person had followed her all the way here. Even she hadn't been able to sense him completely. She had only managed to trick him into revealing himself. Who told you that I'm interested in the passageway to the immortal realm? I'm not interested in that at all. I'm interested in the treasure in your hand. Lin Fei smiled. I also know that there's a time law in it. You can take it, but you have to hand over this treasure. This time, it was Luolan's turn to be stunned. You came all the way here just for this treasure of time? It was completely different from what Luolan had imagined. She was very surprised. Chapter 5236. If it was something else, Luolan would definitely be surprised. But now, the most unbelievable thing was that this mysterious young man actually wanted her meteor treasure. This was definitely beyond her imagination. Most importantly, this guy actually knew that there was an important law of time in this treasure. This was simply inconceivable to her. How did this guy know about this? There were only a few people who knew about this. Even Shen Tianqi might not know about this. He thought that he was luring her out of the cave. In fact, Luolan had to thank Shen Tianqi for taking out the treasure. But now, this young man not only knew about it but also didn't want this law of time. Didn't he know how important this law of time was? Yes, you didn't hear wrong. I didn't say anything wrong either. I am indeed interested in this treasure. You can take this law of time and give it to me. Lin Fei smiled. Luolan suddenly couldn't see through this black-robed young man. After putting in so much effort, it was all for a treasure like this. Was he not interested in the passage to the immortal world at all? This was really a strange person. No matter what, you did me a great favor. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid I would have fallen into Shen Tianqi's hands. I'll give this treasure to you. Luolan then took out the treasure. It was really as he said. After taking the law of time out, the treasure landed in front of Lin Fei. Lin Fei finally held it in his hand and let out a long sigh of relief. This trip wasn't in vain. With such a treasure of time, the sect would become even more different. At the very least, there would be some stable experts for a long period of time. There was no need to waste so much time. Every minute and every second was incomparably precious. After keeping the treasure, Lin Fei prepared to leave. He couldn't be bothered with Luolan anymore. Luolan was shocked when she saw this. This young man was really going to leave. It seemed like he was really interested in this treasure of time and nothing else. She was the saintess of the immortal sect. This was the first time she encountered such a situation. Luolan was certain of one thing. This young man really wanted to leave, and there was nothing fake about it. Wait, don't go yet. Seeing that the other party was really going to leave, Luolan grew anxious. Lin Fei stopped. Is there anything else? Lin Fei looked Luolan up and down. Luolan had also recovered quite a bit. To call him master at this time, could there be something else? He really didn't believe it. I see that you are quite mysterious. I wonder if you are interested in doing something big with me. Luolan's words surprised Lin Fei himself. I'm going to do something big with you. I'm sorry, but I'm not interested. I'm just a big salted fish. I don't want to get involved in anything. Luolan was stunned. It wasn't easy for him to open his mouth, but this young man actually rejected him. Moreover, he really rejected him. Luolan could feel that he had no ulterior motive. What kind of weird person had he met? Then, don't you want to hear what it is? I dare say that it will definitely be of interest to people like you, because the ceiling of our universe is really limited. If you want to become stronger, you have to break away from the universe of this side and enter the so-called advanced world. Luolan's words did bring a lot of information. It was a lot of information. Of course, Lin Fei knew how to go to another high-level world. That was the so-called immortal sect. As long as one had enough immortal sect fragments and combined them into an immortal sect, they would be qualified to enter. In this regard, Lin Fei was not very anxious. If I tell you that I know another passage that leads to the top, won't you be interested to take a look? There are many good things left there. Not interested. You can ask Shen Tianqi about this. He is quite interested. Lin Fei laughed, turned around, and left. Luolan was stunned. He could not sense the other party's trace just like that. He was quite fast. This person is so strange. I actually can't see through him. Even I can't see through him, not to mention you. Luolan was very surprised. Chapter 52-37. Lin Fei had indeed left. He did not have much interest in this magical passage. His mission hadn't been completed yet. Besides, he had this sign-in system, so he had to go to some special places. Signing in would naturally give him good things. For example, the heavenly eye he received at the World Tower this time. This thing was a good thing. Where else could he find such a good thing that allowed him to observe the surrounding situation? He felt that since he had obtained this treasure, he should return to the World Tower and reap some benefits. He would reap as much as he could. Anyway, he wasn't in a hurry to go back. There was no news from the other side. This was also the reason why Lin Fei refused so readily. He could imagine that Luolan must be very incredible. He even felt like the sun was rising from the west. A person like him actually gave up on such a big thing. He used the heavenly eye to check again. He found that Luolan and the old man had disappeared in the blink of an eye. He didn't know where they went, but they had already left his range. Lin Fei wasn't surprised by this. This guy actually knew that he could keep an eye on them all the way. He probably had some powerful treasures that he could use. Not to mention that Luolan had mastered the means of the immortal Tao. He once again came to the World Tower. As soon as he arrived at the World Tower, Lin Fei found an inn to stay in. He had successfully refined the meteor treasure in his hand. This treasure was really quite different. Even though it had been stripped of the law of time, it still possessed the powerful power of the passage of time. It was quite good to cultivate in this place. After putting away the treasure, Lin Fei used the heavenly eye to check. This check made him feel that something incredible had happened. Strange, this Shen Tianqi didn't go anywhere else, but he actually came to the World Tower. This is quite surprising. I thought he had already hidden away to recuperate. Lin Fei originally wasn't interested in this Shen Tianqi at all, but now this guy actually came here. That was different. He didn't forget the last words this guy said. This guy's words would definitely lead him to look for traces of him. He used his reincarnation primordial spirit and followed this clue to the Great Void Sect. Even if the Great Void Sect had regained its vitality, how could it resist Shen Tianqi's attack? This guy was most likely here to buy pills from the World Tower. Without any hesitation, Lin Fei turned his gaze over. In a courtyard, Shen Tianqi had aged quite a bit. He felt as though he had aged decades, and his hair had become even whiter. This time it was really a huge blow to his vitality. Shen Tianqi was indeed here on business. He had really underestimated him this time. He had clearly targeted Luolan, but in the end, he had been targeted by someone else. He didn't even feel it. He knew that the feeling he had at the beginning was right. There was indeed someone watching this place. However, this feeling was very surreal. It felt a little illusory. He could only grasp one point, but he couldn't be sure if someone was really watching them. To be able to stare at him like this without even noticing his movements, he was definitely a top-notch expert. In other words, it was highly likely that he was an old monster. Such a person really made Shintianchi rather unhappy. This is really despicable. If it weren't for that black-robed young man, I wouldn't have come here for nothing. I even got injured. I'm afraid it would take me decades just to recuperate. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to this world tower at all. Shintianchi's injuries were indeed quite severe. After all, his defense had been broken with a single punch. Moreover, his body had been injured, and he wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. Lin Fei's methods were not that simple. If he could, Shintianchi really wanted to capture that guy and pull out his tendons. Only by wiping out his entire family would he be able to feel completely at ease. Unfortunately, Shintianchi's injuries were quite severe. He didn't dare to go outside at all. Fortunately, the World Tower has a lot of things to sell. I can exchange them for a top-notch healing pill to recover from my injuries first. Shintianchi also knew that he would have to spend a lot of money this time. It wasn't easy to get those pills. He would have to spend a lot of his wealth. After watching for a while, Lin Fei figured out what was going on. This guy had come to the World Tower to buy pills. Pills, and top-notch pills at that. He just didn't know what he would do after he finished making them. Lin Fei was quite looking forward to it. He wouldn't go looking for trouble with him, would he? If he was looking for trouble, wouldn't he give him a ruthless slap? In the blink of an eye, Lin Fei came up with an idea. If he wanted to buy these pills, he would have to ask him first. Chapter 5238. He found Shintianchi here. Naturally, Lin Fei wouldn't let this fellow get his hands on the pills that easily. He must have his eyes on some top medicinal pills in the World Tower. Only then could he heal. After all, Lin Fei didn't go all out when he attacked and directly injured his body. It wasn't something that could be recovered in a short time. Even now, it could be seen that this guy was suppressing his injuries. It would be difficult for him to recover. Lin Fei had an eternal-level combat power after all. Not everyone would be able to withstand it once it erupted. Thanks to Shintianchi's strong defense, coupled with his strength, he managed to hold on. If it were an ordinary half-step eternal expert, he would have been killed directly. Even an ordinary eternal expert would have been the same. For 2 days, Lin Fei kept an eye on Shintianchi. Shintianchi had no idea that he was being watched. On the 3rd day, he finally went to the World Tower. He remembered that there was an auction in the World Tower. Lin Fei also knew about it. With money being thrown around, was there any news he didn't know? As soon as Shintianchi stepped into the World Tower, Lin Fei came over. In the World Tower, Lin Fei could also keep an eye on Shintianchi's whereabouts. Sure enough, he went to an auction house. This auction house seemed to be the kind of auction house that focused on one thing. With a little understanding, one would know what was going on. It turned out to be an auction for all kinds of medicinal pills. Ding! Sign-in successful in the World Tower. Received a cosmic weapon fragment. The reward this time surprised Lin Fei a little. Cosmic weapon fragment. This sounded quite high-end. Wasn't it at the eternal level? What the hell is a cosmic weapon? It sounds quite advanced. Is it more advanced than an eternal treasure? Lin Fei had only heard of eternal treasures, but he had never heard of a cosmic weapon. This didn't sound weak at all. However, the system didn't reply. Lin Fei had already expected this. This guy pretended to be mute all day long. But no matter what, this cosmic weapon was definitely not an ordinary thing. He could learn more about it in the World Tower. Not only did they auction things here, but they also sold things here. Most of them were information. Perhaps it was related to the Cosmos Divine Weapon. Lin Fei went to the auction house. This auction house was the same as the previous one, it was also in the same space. As soon as they entered, they could no longer sense each other's presence. He just knew that there was someone here. As for who the other party was, no one knew. Shin Tianqi was also in a private room. As expected, he was rich. What was being auctioned here was really the exclusive auction of elixirs. A special event like this. It was only held once every 3 months. Shin Tianqi's luck was pretty good. It didn't take long for him to get on the stage. Lin Fei laughed in his heart. Don't even think about getting this pill. Even if you manage to get it, you'll have to pay an exorbitant price. For other things, Lin Fei might not have the financial resources, but for this pill, he could still give it a shot. Not to mention anything else. The eternal treasures that he had could be exchanged for many Cosmos God stones in an auction. Moreover, he had saved so many Cosmos God stones this time. It would be a piece of cake to bid for an elixir. One could only say that Shin Tianqi was unlucky. Very soon, the auction began. This time, it wasn't young Master Jiu, but an ordinary auctioneer. However, he was very eloquent. Now we are auctioning an eternal level elixir. There are a total of 3 sets of elixirs. Each set starts at 5 billion. If you want to bid, hurry up. This eternal level elixir wasn't as expensive as expected. However, Lin Fei also knew that not everyone could use it. This was because only those who had reached the eternal level could completely refine the effects of this elixir. Otherwise, ordinary people would explode immediately after consuming it. However, not everyone could afford the price of 5 billion. Naturally, Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry to bid. Now, it was up to Shin Tianqi to see if he would be interested in this eternal level healing elixir. It seemed to be quite effective, but he didn't know how good it would be. There weren't many people competing. There were only a few. The price of 5 billion stopped at 6 billion. 3 billion. Shin Tianqi finally made a bid. This price wasn't very high. He easily suppressed the price. If nothing went wrong, this elixir would fall into Shin Tianqi's hands. I'm pretty lucky to have encountered a top-notch healing elixir right off the bat. With this elixir, I can recover at least half of my injuries. Shin Tianqi felt uncomfortable at the thought of spending so much money. Chapter 5239. 5 billion. Just when Shin Tianqi felt that there was no problem, a voice came out of nowhere, and many people were surprised. This was not a low price, but someone was still bidding. Could it be that another eternal level powerhouse had taken action? Shin Tianqi's face changed slightly, and he immediately pulled a long face. He didn't know who was bidding. The point was that even if he was an eternal expert, he couldn't sense where the other party was. He just knew that someone was bidding at this time, so he was quite unhappy. 7 billion. Shin Tianqi naturally didn't care about ordinary things, but the supreme grade healing elixir was different. There were only 3 of them. If he didn't get them, it would be too difficult for him to recover from his injuries. It was just money, and he had plenty of it. It didn't matter even if it reached 10 billion. He wanted to see who was so bold to compete with him for this thing. No one had ever competed with him for something and still came out unscathed. Not to mention the fact that he had nowhere to vent his pent-up anger. 5 billion. The voice in the room didn't stop at all. It directly increased the bid by 500 million. Shin Tianqi bid again, and this time, it reached 80 billion. The other side directly raised the bid to 10 billion. Good lord, this was a fierce bid. Even the auctioneer was a little stunned. What was going on? The price of supreme-grade healing elixir was generally not very high. She had never heard of such fierce competition. It had never happened before. Could it be that these two were sworn enemies? Logically speaking, it shouldn't be. Once someone entered this place, they wouldn't be able to sense who the other party was. There was a top-notch array here that isolated everything. The auctioneer of the World Tower was very fair and wouldn't make any pretense. He raised the price. At this time, it seemed that someone was deliberately driving up the price. Shin Tianqi called someone over. Go and find out if this person has the financial resources. I don't want to make me feel uneasy because of something. There was a professional here. Shin Tianqi was a member of the private room, so someone immediately went to investigate. There were also people here. The first thing he did was to ask this gentleman. Hello, you seem to be bidding here just now. We have to close the deal, so we came over to check. Naturally, they did not dare to speak too harshly. Those who could come here had a certain amount of wealth. Lin Fei smiled. Shen Tianqi was really anxious. He actually called someone over to investigate him. It doesn't matter. It's just a competition of price. Lin Fei casually took out an eternal treasure. I wonder if this item is worth the price I'm bidding? The people on the other side came over to take a look and found that it was a young man who they had never seen before. However, when the eternal treasure was taken out, they instantly felt that there was something different about him. He quickly became extremely respectful and polite. Sir, I'm sorry. We won't disturb you anymore. How could he dare to ask anything else? Such an eternal treasure could be auctioned off for an extremely high price. At the very least, tens of billions would not be a problem. Shin Tianqi also received a reply that the other party had no financial problems. His heart instantly felt terrible. He didn't know who was wasting time with him. Forget it. He would let the other party have this top-grade healing pill. Lin Fei took out a set of supreme-grade pills. Good heavens, is he going to compete with his own financial resources? It was all right. Wasn't it just 3 top-grade pills? As far as Lin Fei was concerned, it wasn't going to cost much. He had already signed in several good items, so he could easily sell them. If the other party didn't want the first set of pills, then the other party shouldn't even think about the second set. Even if he wanted it, the price wouldn't be low. The high price of one set of pills made everyone realize that the other 2 sets wouldn't be so easy to get. 10 billion. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, Lin Fei made his move. Shen Tianqi was dumbfounded when he saw that the amount was 10 billion. This guy was too arrogant. He should be satisfied with one set, but he actually took another. For a moment, Shen Tianqi felt like he was being targeted. Unfortunately, he didn't know anyone in the House of God Ordainment, and there weren't many of them. Their whereabouts were also very strange. Everyone knew that such a sect existed, but no one knew exactly where it was located. When the House of God Ordainment made a move, not just anyone could stop them. 15 billion. The House of God Ordainment was on fire. Who was afraid of whom? 20 billion. I've taken a fancy to all of these top-grade pills. Feel free to come. Shin Tianqi knew that this guy was preparing to compete with him. Since you like these healing pills so much, if you're interested in the 30 billion, take it. Did he really think that his money had been blown to him by the wind? Shin Tianqi cursed inwardly. Since you've bid 30 billion, you can have these healing pills. I don't want them. Shin Tianqi's face darkened. He'd been tricked. Chapter 5240. Everyone thought that the mysterious man would definitely buy the second batch of supreme-grade elixir pills. Unexpectedly, he changed his style in an instant. Everyone was astonished. He made a ruthless move without warning and screwed the other party over. The supreme-grade elixir pills, which were worth several billion yuan, suddenly became 30 billion yuan. It was a severe blow. Shin Tianqi almost vomited blood. This guy definitely did it on purpose. 30 billion yuan. How many elixirs could he buy with that amount of money? In the end, he was screwed over. Shin Tianqi wished he could go out, find that guy, and kill him. He finally knew that this guy was coming for him. All in all, if he wanted to buy 3 batches of supreme-grade elixirs, he would have to spend a lot of money. Shin Tianqi was really angry. In any case, he had to buy the 3rd batch of elixir pills. Otherwise, the effect would be much worse. At the same time, he had to remember this guy. Don't let him meet you, otherwise you will die without a doubt. Now, the 3rd batch of supreme-grade healing elixir pills. The starting price is still the same as before. The auctioneer didn't expect 2 batches to be sold at such a high price. The third batch had to be even higher. No one knew who was scheming against whom. In any case, they naturally hoped that the price of the items would be higher. In this way, as auctioneers, they could also enjoy certain benefit. Both of them were very good people. However, no one made a bid for the third batch of supreme-grade healing elixirs. Shin Tianqi didn't speak, and neither did the other side. No one spoke either. Everyone knew that even if they fought for the supreme-grade healing elixirs, they wouldn't be able to buy them. Both of them would bid until the end, and the price would not be too low. Does that big shot not want his own healing elixir pills? I bid 30 billion yuan. Isn't that expensive? Everyone was pleasantly surprised when they heard this voice. It seemed that this guy was bidding again. However, the price of the elixir pills this time was really not cheap. It was even higher than before. It depended on how the other side would bid. If the other side bid, it would definitely be a very high price. Shin Tianqi was quite angry. He also knew that he had to get the price of the elixir pills. 50 billion yuan. It was just money. He had to take out the elixir pills even if he had to grit his teeth. If you want to increase the price, then continue to increase the price. In any case, this guy is the one I'm screwing over. A big boss is a big boss after all. I don't have that much money. The others couldn't help but want to laugh at this moment. This guy was really too evil. He actually added an extra 100 million. However, for Shin Tianqi, this was a slap in the face. He was already prepared. Anyway, the price is not high. Let's see what you can do. But now, Shin Tianqi was rather displeased. Wasn't this forcing him to continue bidding? If he didn't do so, he would lose the opportunity to obtain the best quality pill. What could be worse than this? This time, Shin Tianqi was a little difficult to deal with. If he continued to bid, he would definitely bid a higher price. The decision came slowly. 40 billion. Let's see how long this guy can keep up. In the end, as expected, the other party offered 41 billion. In other words, as long as he bid, the other party would raise the price. It was rather difficult to trick the other party. The other party was more cunning and shameless than he had imagined. 51 billion. 61 billion. 90 billion. The price rose to 90 billion. In the end, Shin Tianqi couldn't hold back from making a move. He had no choice but to do so now. Even if he had to spend money, he would be able to recover from at least half of his injuries. That was the most important thing. If this big boss is so interested in this pill, then I'll give it to you. That said, you actually bid for 2 pills in a row. You must be in poor health. By the way, your voice sounds familiar. You must be from the House of God Ordainment. Don't tell me you fought the House of God Ordainment and got injured? You're really out of luck. Lin Fei took his time to say this. When he said that, everyone was instantly shocked. The House of God Ordainment and the House of God Ordainment. They were the hottest topic of discussion in recent times. These two ancient sects had actually come out to fight over a treasure of time. But now, a big boss from the House of God Ordainment had been injured. This was definitely big news. Big news. Definitely big news. The kind that couldn't be stopped. Chapter 5241. Shin Tianqi's heart ached over the 2 supreme-grade pills. He had spent more than 100 billion. That was a huge number. Many people were secretly laughing in their hearts. If it weren't for the fact that he wouldn't do something like this in the World Tower, Shin Tianqi would have given him a good lecture. But now, Shin Tianqi's expression flickered, and he shot to his feet. This guy actually knows who I am? How is that possible? After all, no one in the private room knew who he was. Could it be the person who had attacked him last time? Shin Tianqi knew very well that the possibility of this happening was still very high. Or perhaps Luolan from the House of Immortals had deliberately leaked the news. After all, although the House of Immortals didn't come out often, they still had some influence. It was normal for them to leak the news when they knew he was injured. Shen Tianqi had been very careful on his way here, so no one knew he was in the World Tower. He wanted the healing pills even more. There were a lot of people who had come to bid for the pills, so it was impossible to tell who it was. But now that the news was out, it was going to be a big problem. People would definitely target him. The House of God Ordainment wasn't as glorious as it used to be. They had experts, but they weren't as strong as they used to be. There was no doubt that the House of God Ordainment would be a target to hunt. Shen Tianqi really wanted to kill his way out and kill this guy. At this point, no matter what, people would be suspicious. The news would also spread as soon as possible. I don't know if it's true. I only heard that a top expert from the House of God Ordainment was injured, and you sound just like him. I'm not sure if I'm right. Not good, not good. I'm just blabbering nonsense, so don't take it seriously. Lin Fei's voice rang out again. After all, Lin Fei's voice had changed a lot. Not even Shen Tianqi could recognize him. Lin Fei had a lot of tricks up his sleeve, not to mention the treasures he had obtained from signing in. These treasures were still very useful. For example, even if Shen Tianqi stood right in front of him, he wouldn't be able to tell who did it. And this was the World Tower. He wouldn't let this guy have any chance to make a move. He was sure that the world building would spread the news everywhere. There was no more sound. Lin Fei saw it through his heaven eyes. Shen Tianqi had actually left at the first possible moment. Good heavens, he was afraid that someone would target him. Humph, if you want to take revenge on me, you'll have to deal with your own problems first. Those people couldn't deal with Shen Tianqi, but they could still put him in a very passive position for a very long time. He reckoned that many people would come to search for him. Shen Tianqi would have to live a hard life. I'll take my time to deal with you once I'm done with my own matters. Shen Tianqi left just like that. He really wanted to find this guy for revenge, but he knew that the news would definitely spread very quickly. When the time comes, I will definitely guard these places. If he didn't leave now, when would he? The only hateful thing was that he had never seen that guy before, but he had already remembered the voice. Even if he turned into ashes, he would definitely get that guy out the next time. In fact, the news spread very quickly. Right after Shen Tianqi left, several figures appeared in the sky. When they appeared near the Tower of the World, their expressions were very cold. The people from the House of God Ordainment are finally injured. I told you that the House of Immortal Ascension and the House of God Ordainment would both suffer losses. I never would have guessed that someone from the House of God Ordainment would be injured. I already know who he is, Yang Qi said. He's probably God Heavenly Enlightenment, a very powerful person. If he bought some medicinal pills, he must be seriously injured. If we can take him down, we might be able to find the House of God Ordainment. One by one, the figures moved quickly. They began to search for Shen Tianqi's whereabouts. Many people were very moved by this news. Unexpectedly, the House of Immortal Ascension and the House of God Ordainment had been the one to be injured. The Immortal sect was still as domineering as ever. Looks like that young man won't let Shen Tianqi have a good life. Luolan also received the news. He was not surprised at all. Chapter 52-42. Shen Tianqi left. Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry to chase after him. After all, he was here to sign in. He decided to sign in here for a while. He would come here once a day. After all, this place was really fated with him. Perhaps he could sign in here and get a lot of good things. If he missed this opportunity, he really didn't know if the next time he signed in would be the best reward. In the following days, he really didn't get any good things. This made him quite disappointed. However, he had nothing to complain about. Signing in like this was purely a matter of luck. On the other hand, Shen Tianqi was quite good at hiding. He directly escaped from the area. Originally, Lin Fei thought that if this guy could hide in this area, he could still send a message. This would also give him a headache. In the end, this guy escaped without a trace. But even if he escaped without a trace, the World Tower could be considered a gathering place. Lin Fei more or less knew something about the situation. Later, he heard that this guy was ambushed by many people, and some people really went to look for him. As soon as they saw him, they knew that he was indeed injured, and his injuries were not ordinary serious. This made everyone excited. The news that Shen Tianqi of the House of God Ordainment was seriously injured spread in an instant. Countless people came to hunt him down. All those who were somewhat capable and strong were thinking of capturing Shen Tianqi first. Such an opportunity was too rare. So Shen Tianqi became an existence that constantly fled. One day he would run here, the next he would run there. In the end, he killed a lot of people and even destroyed an entire city. When Lin Fei heard this news, he shook his head. It seemed that Shen Tianqi had suffered a lot this time. Lin Fei once again came to the World Tower. These days, he had become a loyal fan of this place. Ding! Sign-in successful in the World Tower. Received Cosmic Weapon Fragment. Last time, Lin Fei signed in here and obtained a Cosmic Weapon Fragment. He didn't expect to sign in here again today. Signing in here reminded him of something. He didn't seem to have studied the information about the World Tower. It was a good time to learn about it today. In any case, he signed in another Cosmic Weapon Fragment. There was a special information desk here. Of course, there were also public inquiries and specialized inquiries. Lin Fei was not short of money, so he directly went to consult a professional. Consultation wasn't cheap either. Look at the problem. Simple ones would cost a few million, and important ones would cost more than 10 million. With God's stones, not everyone could afford it. I would like to know more about the information regarding Cosmos Divine Weapons. I don't think there is such a thing. Lin Fei was sitting in a small box. This box wasn't big, it was very small, but it was exceptionally quiet. There was even a formation around it that could isolate all sound. There was no need to worry that anyone would be able to investigate what was going on inside. There was silence for a while. He said slowly, "This is a question that not many people can ask. With 5 million Cosmos God Stones, you can know everything about the Cosmos God Weapon." The price wasn't cheap, but fortunately, Lin Fei didn't lack it. He paid 5 million. He waited patiently. Another moment passed. The man said slowly, "The consultation here would not leave any information. Therefore, it went in one ear and out the other. How much you could remember was up to you. Cosmos Divine Weapons are the strongest weapons in this cosmos. They all contain the power of the cosmos origin source and are weapons that surpass the eternal grade. Any one of them would excite people, and with a Cosmos Divine Weapon in hand, one would be able to fight against people from outer space." The man didn't explain in detail. He could only say that these Cosmos God Weapons were nurtured by a universe. Until now, there was only one Cosmos God Weapon that was the most widely known. It was said that this Cosmos God Weapon was very strong, and the person who used it was known as the number 1 expert. However, the number 1 expert's whereabouts were very secretive. There wasn't a second complete Cosmos God Weapon. At most, there were some fragments. Some of these fragments were only 1/3 of the original Cosmos God Weapon, while others were only half of the original Cosmos God Weapon. However, they could unleash a certain amount of power. Basically, the power of the Cosmos God Weapon would weaken. Generally, a Cosmos God Weapon fragment could only unleash about 3 attacks. Some eternal grade experts would collect these Cosmos God Weapon fragments, which could unleash superpower at critical moments. In an instant, they could surpass the eternal grade in combat power and kill people instantly. Chapter 52-43. The 5 million was not spent in vain. He finally knew why he could sign in for a cosmic weapon fragment. The world building was really good to him. He actually received 2 cosmic weapon fragments from signing in. Of course, these 2 cosmic weapon fragments were different from the ones outside. Hence, Lin Fei decided to continue signing in here. Maybe he would be able to sign in for a complete cosmic weapon. This way, he would have a cosmos divine weapon. Even if he were to encounter some strong enemies, it would not matter. Moreover, this place was the safest place. Even Shen Tianqi wouldn't dare to return here easily. Lin Fei had plenty of time. Moreover, he had also learned from the Great Void Sect that there were no problems at all. Hence, he wasn't worried. He only used one strand of the power he left behind. In other words, no one else went there. After all, a strand of power was enough to make them feel terrified. Lin Fei continued signing in. At the same time, he also paid attention to the news about Shen Tianqi. The days passed quite leisurely. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. In these 3 months, Lin Fei didn't receive many things from signing in. It was just a bunch of random things. He only received 2 cosmic weapon fragments, and he had a total of 4 cosmic weapon fragments on hand. In his opinion, the probability of this was still very high. In other words, if he signed in here for a few years, he would be able to obtain a complete cosmic weapon. This was definitely good news. Lin Fei continued to stay here and rented a small courtyard for the long term. After setting up a trap, this small courtyard became exceptionally safe. Lin Fei integrated into the surrounding life. Shen Tianqi, that guy, actually appeared in this area again. After eating breakfast, Lin Fei's heart suddenly stirred. His heavens, I actually sensed that there was another familiar figure in his range. This familiar figure was actually Shen Tianqi, which surprised him a little. Why did this guy come back? Logically speaking, shouldn't this guy be hunting him down? It seemed that the latest news he had heard was that this guy had mysteriously disappeared a month ago. As for the people who went to hunt him down, their money had also disappeared. Lin Fei knew that Shen Tianqi must have some trump cards up his sleeve. After beating them up so badly, he reckoned that they would all be wiped out. Then, he quietly returned to the World Tower. Of course, the World Head had the most items. This guy was quite smart. The more dangerous the place, the safer it would be. This is not my original body. Lin Fei looked at it with his third eye. The first person he saw was a young man. He looked like he was in his 30s, but his eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life. At first glance, it was very difficult to imagine that this young man was Shen Tianqi. However, Lin Fei could sense that this fellow was Shen Tianqi. He had used an unparalleled method to change his aura and soul into a different method. If it weren't for his heavenly eye, Lin Fei wouldn't have been able to detect it. He was none other than God Heaven Enlightenment, who had transformed him so completely. As expected of the House of God Ordainment, they were definitely top-notch. That said, he was still very weak. Compared to before, he had fallen by a large margin. At this time, Shen Tianqi could at most exert the battle prowess of the Eternal Realm. Compared to before, there was a huge gap between him and his previous self. An expert with the strength of a half-step into the Eternal Realm could make Shen Tianqi experience what it meant to suffer. How could he have the nerve to come here with such meager strength? Could it be that this fellow has some other motives? Lin Fei knew that the House of God Ordainment wasn't an ordinary place, let alone an immortal sect. Shen Tianqi definitely had something on his mind for coming back here. As he walked, Lin Fei returned to his courtyard. He was just waiting to see what Shen Tianqi was up to. Everything seemed to be under his control. In fact, he could sense that in order to avoid detection, Shen Tianqi had used a powerful item that made it seem like he was completely detached from the outside world. Spatial treasures could only be locked onto by the third eye. No one had noticed him along the way. It was almost as if he didn't exist. Just like that, Shen Tianqi arrived in front of a mansion. Chapter 5244. If it wasn't for Shen Tianqi's return, Lin Fei really didn't know that this guy came back quietly. He even changed his appearance. His methods were very fierce. It was just that he was a little weak. Lin Fei wanted to see what this guy was planning to do. He felt that this guy didn't just come back here to seek revenge. He definitely had another purpose. If he came for revenge, Lin Fei had nothing to worry about. If this guy didn't come back, it wouldn't be a big deal. But now, he actually came back. As long as he released the news, this guy would really be unable to escape. Shen Tianqi came to the mansion. He knocked on the door. Soon the door opened. He entered expressionlessly. Then, he came to the hall inside. The hall was also empty. There was no one. He went straight to the study room. In the study room, he actually took out a treasure. This treasure surprised even Lin Fei. It was actually an existence similar to space. Following that, the space expanded and his whole body entered the space. This guy is quite rich. He actually carries a space with him. This space should be a miniature space. There should be some secret plan inside, or rather, this space is connected to something. Lin Fei wasn't sure if this space was really a miniature space. At the very least, this space was definitely not simple. He wanted to see if his heavenly eye could see through it. After all, he didn't know how strong this thing was after signing in. Now was the time to give it a try. Lin Fei's perception kept seeping in and out. He really entered this space. As soon as he entered the space, he found that it was actually a mansion. The mansion wasn't very big, but it was equivalent to a grotto heaven. Compared to ordinary blessed lands, it was much more powerful and different. You're finally willing to come back. Or did you encounter trouble this time? In the backyard, he saw an old man. This old man just sat there quietly. One couldn't even feel the change in his strength. This guy was very strong. Because at first glance one could tell that this guy was definitely a very powerful person. But he didn't expect this guy to bring such a powerful person with him. This was definitely not a small matter. This guy seemed to have guessed that something big had happened to Shen Tianqi. Old ancestor, I've disappointed you. This time, I went out with the intention of luring out the people from the immortal sect. In the end, I was ambushed. In fact, I even had to abandon this body of mine and get a new one. Old ancestor. Lin Fei's heart trembled. So this was the patriarch of the house of God ordainment. No wonder he seemed so different. In other words, this fellow was extremely powerful. Fortunately, the heavenly eye was much more powerful than he had imagined. The old man was not able to see through it at all, which made him feel relieved. Otherwise, it would really be a little troublesome. He was going to mess with Shen Tianqi. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be anyone who knows where you are. With your strength and treasures, you should have complete confidence in dealing with that person who came to the immortal gate. Who would want to deal with you? The progenitor turned around. However, there was no expression on that face. There were no facial features at all. It was just a faceless face. It was almost like a flat, faceless face, which was completely inconceivable. And yet, for some reason, it seemed to have facial features that allowed one to see through everything. I don't know who it was, the old man said. I was supposed to win, but then he ambushed me. He must be a body refiner, and I was seriously injured with a single punch. Even I couldn't keep it under control for a while. Then he spread the news, and all the other old fogies attacked me. I couldn't stop them, so I gave up my body and took this young man to get here. So that was what had happened. Lin Fei finally understood that this fellow was quite willing to part with it. That body was indeed riddled with scars. Being willing to part with it was not something that just anyone could do. There's nothing I can do about the immortal gate, the old man said coolly. I guess I have no choice but to go to that place. I was planning to take over the immortal gate and get the treasures there. But it seems I'll have to do it before I can get there. The faceless old man said coolly. Chapter 52:45. Just like that, Lin Fei heard something else. Could it be that this guy knew something special? It seemed that the immortal sect didn't just want to take them down. Those who knew about the passage above should have other secret. He had seen everything from the beginning to the end. They claimed that they wanted to enter a new high-level world, but it didn't seem to be the case. This Shen Tianqi was indeed a schemer. Even those people were fooled by him. They probably didn't know anything and really thought that there was a high-level world for them to go to. Their real target should be Luolan. They could be considered some of the powerful treasures in Luolan's hands. Patriarch, do we have to rely on those things from the immortal sect to enter that place? Can't we do it? Logically speaking, with your strength, you should be able to break through it. Shen Tianqi was puzzled. You think too simply. That place is the true core of this universe. I only came across that place by chance. You don't dare to go near that place at all. You will most likely die if you go there. Patriarch Tian Kuei said coldly. Do you know how I got my injuries? Back then, I went there with a group of people. In the end, I couldn't even enter the outermost layer before I was seriously injured. That's how I ended up like this. Otherwise, why would I be hiding here? Once I go outside, I won't be able to hold on for long. Patriarch Tian Kuei snorted coldly. Lin Fei finally realized why this guy didn't have any aura fluctuations. He should be restraining himself. Time passed very slowly in this place. Lin Fei was a little surprised. It turned out that he was suppressing his injuries. The slower time passed, the less the injuries would affect him. Once he recovered so quickly, his injuries would become quite serious. Lin Fei finally came to a realization. That place. Lin Fei heard an important piece of news. That place was extraordinary. It was very important. Lin Fei knew that this universe wasn't as simple as he thought it was. Now it seemed that it was true. It seemed like there was some sort of treasure inside. He could listen to it now. However, before you go there, there's something else you need to do. Although there's a problem with the Immortal Ascension sect, you can still go to the Primordial Land. The look on Shen Tianqi's face changed drastically. Even I wouldn't dare casually enter that place. Not to mention, my current level of strength has undergone a great change. If it had been somewhere else, Shen Tianqi wouldn't have caused such a huge commotion. This time, his strength was damaged. That was completely different. Patriarch Tian Kuei said, It's all right. Your strength is a little lacking, but the potential of this guy who has taken over your body is not bad. I can help you improve further. If it were anywhere else, it wouldn't matter. However, it was different here. As Lin Fei listened to their conversation, he was slightly shocked. There was actually a so-called ancient land. From the looks of it, this place was quite scary. One could tell just by looking at Shen Tianqi. This guy was fearless. Even though he had been ambushed and severely injured, he did not show any signs of fear. Now that he heard this, he felt even more afraid. Could it really be a dangerous place? After you go to that place, go directly to a frozen land. There are many powerful gods and demons frozen there. Although these powerful gods and demons are dead, their bodies are extremely powerful. Any one of them has the combat strength of a peak Eternal Realm expert. Get them out and we can naturally go to that place. This is the only way. Corpses of gods and demons. Lin Fei was shocked. Even though they were dead, they still had such powerful combat strength. It seemed that this guy really knew a lot of things. A long time ago, Lin Fei had heard of gods and demons. They were very powerful existences that existed since the creation of the world. Later on, all of them disappeared. If there was no accident, they were all dead. Unexpectedly, this Patriarch Tian Kuei seemed to know such a situation. It seemed that in order to go to that place, he had to go to the Primordial Land. He also wanted to get the gods and demons inside. This is the map and this is the seal of the Primordial Land. As long as you have the seal, you can avoid some attack. It's a pass. Without it, no one can break in. Shen Tianqi finally relaxed a lot. Chapter 52-46. If it weren't for the third eye, Lin Fei wouldn't have known about such a situation at all. It was truly inconceivable to him. Was that place really so dangerous that even such a powerful guy could say such a thing? But no matter what, since Lin Fei knew about this matter, Lin Fei didn't care. Lin Fei was going to find out this secret from someone. Should he give Shen Tianqi a sneak attack? Lin Fei felt that he could give it a try. After all, this guy had already taken the seal. He could enter that place and even had a map. If he signed in, wouldn't he be able to get something good? Shen Tianqi came out of this space very quickly. After he came out, the space seemed to not exist. There was no trace of it. Even if Lin Fei wanted to see it, he wouldn't be able to. Good Lord, this thing was really amazing. Shen Tianqi was probably the only one who could open it. He could even be said to be quite mysterious. He was afraid that the news would spread outside. If that happened, there would be a huge uproar. At the very least, such an expert was definitely an old expert in the past. An old monster. Such a person would definitely have many enemies. If he knew about his current situation, he would never let it go so easily. After Shen Tianqi came out, he looked at the map. There was even this seal. However, this map was not simple. The drawings on it were very detailed, as if they were real. Even Lin Fei could see them clearly with the help of the third eye. Good Lord, this map was really different. Lin Fei didn't care about the consequences and directly copied it. This guy looked at it for a long time, as if he was studying the route. It took him about an hour. It was enough for Lin Fei to draw out all the routes, making them look vivid and lifelike. It was no different from the real thing. He really had to thank Shen Tianqi. He's actually looking at a map here. If this guy didn't look at the map, I wouldn't have been able to think of a way in such a short time. Looking at the map, Lin Fei could be considered to have gained quite an advantage. The price was only this seal. It would be great if he could get his hands on this seal. Lin Fei was ready to see if there were any opportunities. After coming out, Shen Tianqi flipped through the map for a while and casually placed the seal on the table. Then he left. This made Lin Fei a little surprised. It seemed that this guy was very confident in the safety of his mansion. However, this study room was indeed surrounded by array formations. These array formations were very powerful. When they were linked together, not just anyone would be able to barge in. Lin Fei also saw that Shen Tianqi had actually sent a message. This guy was quite smart. He knew that he couldn't go to the place alone, so he simply started to pull others along. Previously, he had dragged these people to deal with the sect of immortals. This time around, he was doing it again. This time, he was prepared to use these guys as cannon fodder. As expected of a good friend. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Lin Fei wouldn't have believed it. This guy was absolutely ferocious. Shen Tianqi informed them again. Lin Fei felt that he could go in and get the seal now. The chances were still very high. But in the end, Lin Fei still shook his head. It wouldn't be good to go in and get it now. It would be easy to alert the enemy. If this guy brought so many cannon fodder with him, then it wouldn't matter if he followed. After all, he already had the map. If Lin Fei went there, he might be able to get something good. Lin Fei felt that it was better to let him go first. Shen Tianqi sent some messages one after another. Soon, a look of delight appeared on his face. 6 people should be enough. At the very least, they can help me share some of the danger. Shen Tianqi's idea was simple. He wanted to pull a group of people over to help him deal with the danger. Although he already had the seal and the map, there was no guarantee that there wouldn't be any danger. But if these guys followed him, it would be a different story. Once he had the God Devil, he would be able to make them behave. It would make the House of God Ordainment a lot stronger. No one knew this better than Shen Tianqi. The House of God Ordainment was very different from what it used to be. If he didn't take advantage of this opportunity, then when would he? He had been scheming against these guys for a long time. At the very least, they had absolute trust in him. Chapter 52-47. A few days later, Shen Tianqi gathered all the people. They gathered at an inconspicuous place. This time there were a total of 6 experts. They were all experts from the previous time. However, they were rather annoyed to see Shen Tianqi. Don't try to scam us again this time. You really scammed us badly last time. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been injured. I even ate a lot of elixirs. You're quite an interesting fella. Did you abandon your previous body? It seems like you suffered more than us. When they came over, they were dumbfounded when they saw Shintianchi. If it wasn't for the message that contacted them, they would have thought that they were dreaming. This fella actually suffered such a huge loss. Shintianchi laughed bitterly. Don't talk about it. I was indeed unlucky. You guys suffered a huge loss last time. However, this time, I won't let you guys suffer any losses. I've found a place that can make up for the loss. It's definitely something that you guys can't imagine. It's the legendary Primordial Land. These people had indeed received the message and came over. The content of the message was rather simple. In other words, he knew of a top-notch mystic realm. They could obtain some top-notch treasures. Compared to dealing with a mortal sect, this would be a greater harvest. To them, if it was a top-notch mystic realm, they could choose to go there. Perhaps they could find some unexpected clues. Although they didn't get any clues from a mortal sect, it would be good if they could find some clues from other aspects. Primordial Land? Are you sure you know of such a place? It's a place that disappeared a long time ago. I heard that there are good things in the Primordial Land. There are also some special legacies. If we can obtain those legacies, we might be able to take that step out. They immediately perked up. They didn't care much about other places. However, the Primordial Land was different. After all, they were all old people. Naturally, they knew more than others. Hearing about such a place at this time naturally made them feel incomparably shocked. Shintianchi said, "Do I need to lie to you guys? After so many years, I've always brought you guys along whenever I found a good place. This place is no different. It's definitely worth it." Since Shintianchi had said so, they chose to believe him. After all, they had indeed picked up a lot of benefits by following this guy. He didn't mind doing it one more time. That was all. The group set off once again. Along the way, their movements were more cautious, as if they had been discovered. This was especially true after Shintianchi had suffered last time. He no longer dared to lower his guard. One by one, they began to use their treasures. Looking at the back, Lin Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even so, it couldn't block the heaven's eye. They walked all the way, one universe after another. Of course, he had also passed through many mystic realms and moved continuously through the spacetime point. But it was really strange. Even Lin Fei himself was full of admiration. If he didn't have the heaven's eye, it would have been impossible for him to follow them. The others might have lost track of them because this route was too difficult. Lin Fei had seen the route himself, but he didn't expect it to be much more difficult than he had imagined. Even the people who were with Shintianchi were surprised, because they had never taken this route before. Fortunately, they were full of confidence in Shintianchi. Since there was such a place, it definitely existed. It was just that this route was quite difficult to walk. If they didn't have a complete map, they wouldn't have known that there was such a trick to these places. Just like that, the journey was smooth. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. For half a month, Lin Fei had been following behind them. He didn't receive anything from signing in. Instead, Shintianchi and the others became excited. The further they went, the more they felt that this route was very strange. Time and space were constantly mixed together. It was hard to separate them. If they weren't careful, they would go the wrong way. The last part of the route is up ahead. Everyone, follow closely. If you go the wrong way here, you will have traveled for nothing. Shintianchi turned around and said. Chapter 52-48. With Shintianchi leading the way, of course, it was different. The others were also shocked. They knew that there should be something they wanted here. This place was known as the Antiquity Times. If Shintianchi hadn't led the way, they wouldn't have been able to get here at all, let alone enter this place. Along the way, time and space were constantly mixed up. Without a stable path, they couldn't get through at all. They were also scared out of their wit. Behind them, Lin Fei could also see that this place was really different from what he had imagined. It was quite powerful. If it had been someone else, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But this place was full of traps. If they weren't careful, they would be teleported away. No wonder Shen Tianqi said that. It took them more than half a year to get through this area. Then they came to a ruin. This ruin. The ancient and desolate aura directly crushed their bodies. Even though Shen Tianqi and the others had been prepared for this, their faces still turned pale and they bled. I didn't lie to you, did I? This is the legendary antiquity times. There are good things that you can't imagine here. I dare say that only a few people can come here. But the danger here is also layer by layer, so you have to be careful. If you don't cooperate, you won't be able to get in at all. Shen Tianqi said. He took out a map. The rest of them also raised their spirit. Even if they didn't say it, they could feel the danger here. It was extremely fierce. This is the place I want to go. We have to pass through 4 or 5 thresholds. Each threshold is dangerous, so everyone has to be careful. Shen Tianqi pointed to a position. All of them were watching with a serious expression on their faces. If you can obtain some ancient treasures here, you will definitely be able to improve your strength by leaps and bounds. You might even be able to break through your current cultivation levels. If it weren't for the fact that you have worked with me for so many years, I wouldn't have called you all here. Shen Tianqi said again. These people all sighed with emotion. Shen Tianqi was a good friend. He brought everyone here. This place couldn't be found even if one had money. It was simply too difficult to find. Lin Fei, who had been following behind, didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard this. These guys still didn't know that they had been sold. Soon, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret. At the very least, one could tell how dangerous this place was just by looking at that old man. Even that old man couldn't handle it. Not to mention people like you. At that time, it would be too late for regret. That was all. Shen Tianqi and the others went straight in. Once inside, he could feel that something was different inside. One after another, his techniques were unfathomably ferocious. In the beginning, he was so nervous that his face turned pale. Everyone put away all their thoughts. No one dared to let their guard down. This place was really too unbearable. Follow me and don't wander off. We need to work together in this place. Shen Tianqi realized how dangerous this place was. Along the way, they had been walking and stopping. There were countless injuries of various sizes. It was truly incomparably ferocious. This was more dangerous than a dragon's pool or a tiger's den. At the very least, they had experienced it firsthand. After they came up, Lin Zi followed them. As soon as he came up, he realized how dangerous this place was. One wave after another. If he didn't have a certain level of strength, he wouldn't be able to withstand it at all. It was the same even for his eternal level body. At this time, he seemed to be under a lot of pressure. It's really a dangerous place. In an inconspicuous place, Lin Fei was also injured, leaving a lot of blood. He finally realized the horror that flashed in that old man's eyes. Even he couldn't bear it, let alone the others. Sure enough, it was better to follow their path. Lin Fei had other ideas. He had to continue to follow them. Otherwise, he would definitely suffer a lot. Shen Tianqi and the others didn't move very much. They didn't move very fast either. It could be said that Lin Fei was steadily following behind without any intention of pulling away. He was afraid that if the distance between them was too far, there would be trouble. Now it was pretty good. One day later, Shen Tianqi finally entered a land of frost. Lin Fei approached the land of frost. When the frost fell on his body, he felt as if he was going to be frozen in an instant. It was extremely terrifying. Chapter 5249. This place is much scarier than I thought. At this time, Lin Fei also came in. As soon as he came in, he realized that this place was different. Layers upon layers of frost were truly ferocious and invincible. They couldn't stand it anymore. After blocking this wave, the next wave would begin. As soon as Shen Tianqi and the others came in, they were all frozen. It scared them out of their wit. Even if they had prepared in advance, it was the same. They couldn't stand the attack of the frost at all. Only Shen Tianqi had prepared in advance. Clatter! Shen Tianqi's treasures were quite powerful. They were able to block all of these attacks, and a white world appeared in front of him. But in this white world, there was a burst of powerful aura. These powerful figures had actually died. They were still extremely powerful. Shen Tianqi finally knew why the patriarch had asked him to come here. If he could bring these things back and refine them, they would definitely become his strongest means. However, this place didn't seem as dangerous as he had imagined. Shen Tianqi had prepared himself before coming here. No matter how dangerous it was, he could bear it. But now, it seemed a little different from what he had imagined. This place really wasn't as dangerous as he had imagined. Could it be that he had made a mistake? In any case, he had finally come here. That was enough. As for the people next to him who were frozen, Shen Tianqi didn't do anything else. They couldn't bear it and were frozen, but they wouldn't die for a while. You guys wait here. I'll go and see if I can find a way to break it. He was controlling a treasure. He went forward directly. Shen Tianqi was controlling a fire attribute treasure, which was also an eternal treasure. It could create a certain amount of flames around it to resist the attack of the frost. It formed a temporary vacuum. As for the others, they didn't have such a good time. All of them were frozen there. They could only watch helplessly as the other party left. They couldn't even say a word. They were more hoping to find a way to break it. This place really caught them off guard. After they lost sight of Shen Tianqi, a figure walked in from behind in the blink of an eye. They couldn't move now. They could only push the treasure with all their might. That was how he managed to hold on for a few moments. They saw a figure walking over. Although the other party was also covered in frost, his endurance was much stronger than theirs. In his heart, he was incomparably shocked. Could it be that he was being followed again? Last time, they were being followed. This time, he was being followed again. Follow. They saw a figure in a black robe, exactly the same as the last time, and they were incomparably shocked. He was in complete despair. Why did I meet this guy again? Could it be that this fellow was purposely following them? Seriously, you fellows. Shen Tianqi was plotting against you fellows. Did you fellows really think that he was doing it out of good intentions? However, you fellows are just unlucky. After helping him resist so many dangers and coming here, you fellows ended up becoming frozen statues. Lin Fei shook his head and sighed. Very soon, you guys won't have any freedom. That guy must have gone to get the gods and demons. When he gets the gods and demons back, you guys will have to work for him for free. Free labor. Had he been tricked by Shen Tianqi? These people really didn't think that much. It was just that they didn't notice it when they came in. Now that Shen Tianqi had gone to look for treasures, perhaps he would be able to escape at any time. However, when they heard this, they were dumbfounded in the blink of an eye. This seemed to be a little different from what they had imagined. In fact, at this moment, they couldn't speak at all. They could only watch as the black-robed young man walked in. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared before their eyes. Lin Fei had deliberately left an idea in their hearts. It was like a seed. Shen Tianqi probably didn't expect that he would expose all his secret. The gods and demons were indeed extremely powerful. Even after seeing them, Lin Fei finally understood why they had come here. If one of these gods and demons was refined, they would be the strongest fighters. Moreover, there were 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 of them. This wasn't something that anyone could bear. Chapter 5250. After leaving a seed for them, Lin Fei went straight inside. When he got inside, he found that the chill was getting heavier and heavier. It even made it difficult for him to move. He had no choice but to mobilize his primordial spirit. As soon as his primordial spirit moved, the frost was shaken off. He could finally move slowly. Lin Fei finally saw how terrible the chill was. even if he didn't use any treasures. A pure divine body was already a bit difficult at this time, let alone those without treasures or strong bodies. They probably couldn't reach this step at all. I wonder where that Shin Tianqi has gone. I'll go check it out first, lest that fellow is plotting something against me. Lin Fei didn't pay attention to Shin Tianqi just now. However, this made him more spirited. There were so many dangers in this place. He didn't know where Shin Tianqi had gone. He planned to follow Shin Tianqi all the way. He reckoned that Shin Tianqi would be very surprised when he saw him later. He opened his third eye. Lin Fei finally saw Shin Tianqi. This guy was in front of a statue, activating a treasure. He was trying to refine this thing. However, this guy was very laborious. It seemed that the chill around him was also quite strong, so he had to divert part of his attention to refine this statue of a fiend god. This guy is really refining this frozen fiend god. However, it doesn't seem that easy to refine this thing. It won't be that easy in a short time. Shin Tianqi was so serious. Lin Fei wondered if he should take advantage of the time when Shin Tianqi succeeded in refining it. Then he would come out and take this frozen fiend god away. This would definitely make him very happy. Last time, he ruined his good fortune. This time, he would ruin his good fortune again. This should be more interesting. Lin Fei was no longer in a hurry. He turned and came in front of a frozen fiend god. This was a very ferocious fiend god. He tried to put it away, but Lin Fei found that his thoughts were a bit redundant. This fiend god seemed to have a certain resistance. He couldn't put it away at will. No wonder Shin Tianqi wanted to refine it first. Lin Fei also knew that although his methods were strong, it was not enough. It wouldn't be easy to take this thing away. However, he still had to give it a try. First, he used the power of his eternal god body. It had no effect on the frozen statue. Then, he used the reincarnation primordial spirit. He wanted to see if this thing could completely reincarnate the power of the ice seal. However, he realized that he was thinking too much, but it still wouldn't work. It seemed that this place used to be a top-notch special place, but people slowly found the entrance and came to this place. However, it wasn't that easy to get rid of this thing. The old man was heavily injured, otherwise, he wouldn't be hiding in there. One could imagine that the dangers here were definitely not as simple as they thought. Lin Fei felt that he had to be careful. He didn't want to accidentally step into a big hole. Thus, he didn't touch this godfiend again. Instead, he found a place to hide and slowly waited for Shin Tianqi to refine the ice-sealing godfiend. Ding! Sign-in successful in the land of ice. Obtained 1 law of ice. Wait. It was impossible for him to wait for nothing. Lin Fei mustn't forget about today's sign-in. He directly signed in here. He wanted to see what he could get from signing in. However, he didn't expect this place to be called the Power of Ice. He also didn't expect to receive a law of ice from signing in. Ice was ice. The law of ice was the law of ice. These were two different things. With a thought, an additional law of ice appeared in Lin Fei's body. Then, it was quickly absorbed by his body. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Lin Fei found that resisting the ice seemed to have become exceptionally easy. It was as if he was sealed in ice with them. There wasn't as much pressure as at the beginning. It could be said that it was completely effortless. This effect is too good. I obtained a law of time before, and now I obtained a law of ice. With these two laws, my fist technique has changed greatly. I can even exert the power of one of the laws with just a thought. The harvest surprised Lin Fei a little. I wonder if my law of ice can melt the ice on this frozen godfiend. Chapter 52-51. With this law of ice, of course, Lin Fei had some thoughts. He wanted to see if he could take it away. If he could take him away, it would definitely be a great thing. As soon as the law of ice flew out, it kept spinning around the frozen god. With every rotation, it consumed a portion of its power. However, the frozen god seemed to have melted quite a bit. Compared to Shun Tianqi, his progress was much faster. Lin Fei finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that my luck is pretty good. I actually managed to sign in for the Law of Ice here. It's just that the Law of Ice seems a little small and weak. If there were 10 of them, it would be a different story. They could easily take out the frozen god. The speed was a little slow, but it was still acceptable. Just like that, he slowly began to deal with the frozen god. At the same time, his heavenly eye was also observing the commotion. He didn't want to be tricked. It was better to be careful. Clatter, clatter. The frozen god slowly melted. As soon as the frozen god appeared, he could feel its powerful aura. It directly rushed toward him. In an instant, a layer of frost appeared in front of him. The frost was instantly shattered, but fortunately, it was able to block the might of the fiend god after a few times. The frozen god seemed to really exist. It directly crushed the frozen god. In the distance, Shun Tianqi also felt the crushing pressure of the frozen god. He was caught off guard. What? He spat out a mouthful of blood. What's going on? There's actually the aura of a frozen god. Aren't there only frozen gods here? How can there be such a complete frozen god's aura? Shun Tianqi was completely dumbfounded. This was completely different from when he first arrived. His master had told him that the ice-sealing godfiends inside couldn't be destroyed unless they were truly melted. Otherwise, there would be no frozen god's aura. Thus, he could rest assured. But the current situation was completely different from his. Could it be that a frozen god was melted by someone? How was that possible? Could it be those guys? Shun Tianqi was startled. No. It was impossible for them to be so strong. Their strength had basically been completely depleted in this one battle. How could they still come here? He even wanted to melt an ice-sealed godfiend. Wishful thinking. Shun Tianqi heaved a sigh of relief, but the more he did so, the more confused he became. The might of the fiend gods continued to sweep over in a majestic manner. This was not normal. Now that he had reached a very important moment, he couldn't stop at all. Otherwise, his previous time would have been wasted. My luck shouldn't be that bad. I should be quite safe. Shun Tianqi decided to continue and ignore him. On Lin Fei's side, he finally saw a complete godfiend. It was indeed beyond his imagination. He was quite ferocious. One could imagine how terrifying it was before birth. This godfiend seemed to have shrunk down using a divine ability. This was a true godfiend. He was truly indomitable. No matter how many reincarnated primordial spirits he cultivated, he would still not be a match for this guy. Furthermore, Lin Fei could also sense that the other party's body was incredibly tough, invulnerable to swords and spears. Ordinary methods would not be able to break through it. Such a godfiend could not be defeated at all. The other party's punch was the true pinnacle of power. Lin Fei finally experienced the difference between this godfiend and this godfiend. His body was still lacking a lot, not to mention what kind of tricks he had up his sleeve. If I sign in here for a few more days, I wonder if I can find some special methods or godfiend body tempering techniques that can make my body stronger. Lin Fei's imagination ran wild. With a wave of his hand, he put away the godfiend. Although this godfiend had a certain level of resistance, without the chill, it was only a matter of time before Lin Fei took it down. As soon as this godfiend was taken away, the might of the godfiend disappeared completely. Boom! Just after Lin Fei put away this godfiend, the entire area suddenly trembled. This tremble was as if the world had turned upside down. Lin Fei's hair instantly stood on end. This commotion was beyond his imagination. Even Shun Tianqi directly spat out several mouthfuls of blood. His face turned pale. This situation was different from what he had imagined. Just now there was a deathly stillness. What the hell happened here? He didn't feel anything at all. Shun Tianqi was completely flustered. Chapter 52-52. In such a situation, even Lin Fei himself felt that it was quite unbelievable. Lin Fei felt that this aura was a little angry. He didn't sense anything that made him suspicious. Did I suspect wrongly? Why did that thing appear just now? My anger is so strong that even I can't bear it. After arriving here, Lin Fei knew that this was definitely not a safe place. He had to be careful. If he wasn't careful, he wouldn't even know when he would suffer a big loss. Something must have been touched around him. Or rather, Shin Tianqi had caused some trouble. This guy was really something. Why did he have to dawdle over some things? He immediately used his heavenly eye to check. He took a look. He found that Shin Tianqi was in a sorry state. God knew how much blood he had vomited. His entire face was deathly pale, as if he hadn't seen the sun for a whole year. Did he suspect this guy wrongly? This guy had suffered a loss too. He was really careful at this moment. However, it seemed that this was a critical moment. It wasn't Shin Tianqi's fault. Lin Fei didn't know what exactly was going on. He decided to find another god demon first. Anyway, this place wasn't safe to begin with. It didn't matter too much. He would deal with it first. Another god demon was taken out by Lin Fei. The law of ice was really quite domineering. It directly overcame the resistance of this ice. It became very easy to break. Swoosh. Another god demon was taken away. This one seemed a little different. It was much stronger and more muscular than the previous one. Lin Fei knew that he had to choose. Of course, he had to choose a bigger one. Otherwise, it would be a pity. Just as he was about to take it away, swoosh. Boundless anger came again, and this time, it directly crushed Lin Fei's body. In an instant, cracks appeared on his body. He vomited several mouthfuls of blood. Fortunately, he stopped. At this moment, over on the other side, Shin Tianqi's defenses crumbled right away. Then, he also vomited large mouthfuls of blood. He didn't expect this. Too scary, too scary. How could such a thing happen? This time, Shin Tianqi couldn't bear it at all. He even stopped refining the gods and demons. He felt his life was in danger. He had placed some treasures in the surroundings just now, but these treasures simply could not withstand the crushing force of the torrent. He was directly injured. There's a big problem with this place. If this continues, I'll be dead for sure. Shin Tianqi had already suffered 2 baffling attacks in a row. The attack came silently, and this time, it was even more terrifying. It was as if someone was shivering beside him. Shin Tianqi had never experienced such a feeling before. He knew that if he continued, he would definitely die. There was no chance for him to survive. Seeing that the divine demon statue was about to be completed, Shin Tianqi left without any hesitation. He had to leave this place first. He was afraid that he really wouldn't be able to leave if he were to come again. Even now, he was staggering. He left? Why did he leave? Could it be that he doesn't want the statue? Lin Fei had been observing Shin Tianqi. This guy actually left just like that. However, he looked even more wretched than before. It must have been because of the sudden change just now. Lin Fei also didn't know what was going on. He had indeed been paying attention just now. Just as he took the statue away, this terrifying pressure swept out and crushed his body. It was as if someone had sneezed next to him in an instant. It was a very angry aura. He could clearly feel it. It seems that the statues here can't be taken away. I can still bear it if one is taken away, but it will be very terrifying if 2 are taken away. If it happens a 3rd time, I'll definitely die. Lin Fei was very clear about this. It wasn't easy for Shin Tianqi to make such a great contribution. It would be a pity if he didn't take the statue away. I can still bear it a 3rd time. Lin Fei also walked in the direction of Shin Tianqi. He had to take the statue away first. Wasn't it just one more time? He could still bear it. Chapter 52-53. Lin Fei was a quick-witted person. In any case, since the situation had come to this, it would be a pity if they didn't take the statue away. He just had to do it again. This time, Lin Fei had made up his mind. He had to use all his tricks. He reckoned that he would definitely be able to hold on. As for the others, it had nothing to do with him. However, he still used his heavenly eye to check. Shen Tianqi was indeed in a sorry state. He really walked out. As for the guy who was sealed in the outermost layer of ice, he felt as if he had broken out of the seal. They were also in a sorry state. However, because they were far away, they didn't seem to suffer too much. Apart from their ugly expressions, they didn't have anything else to say. After calculating the time, they might really run into it. If they did, Lin Fei wanted to laugh. He reckoned that Shen Tianqi would be in trouble soon. He dodged it perfectly. Lin Fei finally came to the side of the divine demon. The divine demon was indeed different. This divine demon was especially domineering. Lin Fei hadn't noticed it before. However, he did now. He finally knew why Shen Tianqi had chosen this divine demon. This divine demon should have been relatively powerful when it was alive. It was indeed very different from the two pairs he had taken before. The more it was like this, the more Lin Fei wanted to get rid of this divine demon. Lin Fei used his tricks on this divine demon again. It melted inch by inch. The speed was getting faster and faster. After all, he was going to succeed. If Shen Tianqi came, he would naturally need some time. However, Lin Fei didn't need that much time. Whoosh! All the ice was broken in an instant. The fiend god appeared before him. There's a box. When the divine demon was completely unsealed, Lin Fei's eyes lit up. He found that the divine demon was holding a box in its hand. He hadn't noticed it before. However, he felt that there seemed to be something else in the box. Was this the reason why Shen Tianqi came? After all, there were so many divine demons here. Why did he choose this one? Just now. Lin Fei didn't notice it either, but now he was sure of one thing. This box was definitely not simple. There should be something precious inside. It seemed that Shen Tianqi had a purpose. Hua! Lin Fei released his reincarnated primordial spirit in the surroundings. He activated the Essence Soul Array. The primordial spirit array could not only be used to deal with enemies, but it could also be used to form a powerful defense. In the past, he didn't even have time to use it because he didn't know. This time, he was prepared. With a whoosh, the god-fiend was taken away. He took it away. In an instant, an unparalleled force came crashing over. Like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Invincible might. The primordial spirits that Lin Fei had set up outside the formation cracked, and the entire formation collapsed. With a wave of his hand, he recalled all the primordial spirit. Following that, the power came crashing down on him. Voila voila! More than half of its body was instantly destroyed. Shen Tianqi, who was leaving in the distance, suddenly felt a life-threatening aura. Here we go again. It was even more terrifying than before. There was a loud bang. His whole body was directly crushed out, and he fell heavily to the ground. Just like that, Shen Tianqi experienced the feeling of death. More than half of his body fell apart, and the people who were sealed in ice finally broke free. With the help of the power, they regained their freedom. As soon as they came out, they saw Shen Tianqi crashing somewhere not far away from them. It was a little different from what they had imagined. Of course, they could also feel the dangerous aura in here. Without a word, they retreated outside and didn't pay any more attention to Shen Tianqi. If he came again at this time, they would be completely dead. Cough, cough, cough. Lin Fei finally made it, but now Lin Fei looked extremely wretched. He could vaguely see a pair of eyes at the end of the tunnel. It was a pair of golden eyes that fell on him as if they were going to pierce through him. It was his. It must be him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have suffered such a serious injury. At this moment, Lin Fei knew who did this. Perhaps it was the guardian of the God-Fiend. Chapter 52-54. Lin Fei finally saw this figure. This figure was indeed very majestic and burly. It was as if there was an ancient existence between heaven and earth. However, Lin Fei didn't feel its presence. He could only see it. He knew that this should be the thought left behind by a powerful divine demon powerhouse. Just this thought alone caused a terrifying pressure to crush it. If it were an ordinary eternal powerhouse, they would have been reduced to ashes long ago. Only someone like Lin Fei would be able to endure it. If it happened again, he wouldn't be able to withstand it at all. This wasn't an ordinary attack at all. This was a top-notch attack. Hence, Lin Fei decisively left without staying at all. The divine demons here didn't dare to create another one. If they did, they would probably lose their lives. Even though he didn't seem to be injured, his body had already cracked open with wounds. These wounds ran all over his body and couldn't be healed in a short period of time. This also made Lin Fei understand that his body was still too weak. It was far from being as powerful as he imagined the Godfiend body to be. His body was still far from being as powerful as he imagined. Although he had reached the eternal level, he wasn't as powerful as he imagined. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suffered such a huge loss just now. Lin Fei only stopped when he reached the edge of the place. He knew that he should be able to get away from the pressure just now. Shen Tianqi and the others had long disappeared without a trace. Needless to say, the ferocious aura just now naturally made them feel what danger was. If they didn't leave now, when would they leave? However, although Lin Fei had left this area, he was still full of expectations for this ancient land. Especially the method just now, it naturally made him realize that his body wasn't the strongest. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been injured. Hence, Lin Fei wondered if he should sign in at the ancient land. If he signed in, he could obtain the Godfiend body technique. That would be a huge gain. At the very least, he would be more confident in exploring this place. Lin Fei thought further than anyone else. It would be impossible to survive in this place without a strong body. Even if an eternal-level powerhouse came here, it would still be the same. Lin Fei could clearly sense it. Even he himself could not bear it. Even Shen Tianqi couldn't bear it. Not to mention those people from before, they couldn't bear it either. Only those with exceptionally powerful bodies could pass through here. If he could obtain this Godfiend body, he might be able to travel through this place. The probability was much higher. This made Lin Fei look forward to it. Anyway, he didn't have to worry about anything now. Shen Tianqi probably didn't dare to stay in this place anymore. If they stayed in this place, who knew when they would suffer a great loss? Such a person was even more careful with his own life. In reality, that was really the case. The three gods Tianqi had long since slipped away, not daring to stay at all. He was afraid that he would use such a method again. He had directly taken his old life. This place had also become exceptionally quiet. At the very least, Lin Fei, who had the third eye, could sense it clearly. Thus, he was exceptionally relieved. It was just signing in. Who's afraid of who? He had plenty of time to sign in here. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Lin Fei slowly began to sign in here. On the 6th day, he finally signed in the Godfiend body fragment. Lin Fei's entire being became extremely carefree. This was definitely something that he had been dreaming of. It seems that my guess was completely correct. I can indeed sign in here to obtain the Godfiend body fragment. Although it was only the first one, Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry at all. He had plenty of time. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to gather the Godfiend body fragment. Once he gathered it, he could instantly turn this eternal body into the Godfiend body. At that time, even a so-called celestial immortal wouldn't be able to penetrate this body. Lin Fei was quite looking forward to it. So, Lin Fei slowly began to sign in again. Chapter 52-55. On the 6th day, Lin Fei received a Godfiend body fragment. On the 21st day, he received a second one. On the 2nd month, he received a third one. On the 4th month, he received a 5th one. Just like that. In the blink of an eye. Lin Fei signed in for 5 years. This period of time wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. It was within his expectations. There were quite a lot of things he received from signing in, but what he wanted the most was this Godfiend body fragment. Finally, on this day, he received a new Godfiend body fragment. The moment he received this Godfiend body fragment, Lin Fei knew that he could finally fuse the Godfiend body. There were more than 30 of them. That's right, this Godfiend body fragment couldn't be fused with 10, but 30. 30 servings was neither a lot nor a small amount, but it would take time. This time might be half a year, or even 2 to 5 years, or even longer. In any case, it was hard to say. Overall, Lin Fei's luck was quite good. Finally, he received 30 Godfiend body fragments. 30 Godfiend body fragments could finally be fused. He was extremely excited about this day. He had been looking forward to it for a long time. He could finally have a Godfiend body. At that time, his body would become incomparably powerful. At the very least, even if he attacked again now, he wouldn't be easily shaken by others. Ding! Godfiend body fusion successful. Obtained low-grade Godfiend body. It was finally fused. With a thought, Lin Fei completely refined the Godfiend body. With this refinement, he felt as if he had been reborn. The eternal body in his body was directly devoured and no longer existed. It was replaced by the Godfiend body. The aura on his body also became exceptionally different. It was as if his life form had been upgraded. This feeling was very obvious. This is the power of the low-grade Godfiend body. It is indeed more powerful than I imagined. And it was low-grade. If it was mid-grade, high-grade, or even high-grade, Lin Fei didn't dare to imagine it. At that time, it would become even more powerful. It seems that signing in here is quite correct. If my reincarnation primordial spirit can cultivate the Godfiend body, then it will be even more domineering. Lin Fei did not forget about his reincarnation primordial spirit. If they could cultivate it successfully, they would naturally become even more powerful. This was a very suitable place to sign in. However, it took him almost 5 years to gather 30 fragments. If he were to continue signing in, Lin Fei could not guarantee how long he would have to sign in. At the very least, he still had a lot of things to do. Now that he knew of such a place, he naturally had the opportunity to slowly sign in. As long as the long-term mission was completed well, there was nothing to worry about. I wonder if I can leave a primordial spirit here to sign in. A thought suddenly popped into Lin Fei's mind. He had so many reincarnated primordial spirits that each of them was no different from him. He just didn't know if he could sign in or not. With a thought, Lin Fei's thoughts shifted to the other reincarnated primordial spirit. If it worked, then he would have made a huge profit this time. If it didn't work, it didn't matter to Lin Fei. This was a good idea, but when he tried to do it, he realized that this idea still wouldn't work. There's a problem. It was impossible to sign in for a while. Only his main body could sign in completely. This was a little troublesome. It seems that my idea was a little too naive. This place is not a place where primordial spirits can sign in at all. Anyway, I already have a Godfiend body, so I can just slowly sign in next time. When the time comes, I'm afraid I won't be able to gather all of them even after a few decades or 100 years. Lin Fei was not in a hurry. He decided to go deeper and take a look. Now that he already had a Godfiend body, he was naturally qualified to enter. Moreover, there were few people in this place. When the time came, how he wanted to barge in would be up to him. As soon as he appeared, Lin Fei felt that someone had entered the ancient land. Within the range of the heavenly eye, once someone entered, he would be able to sense it immediately. Hence, Lin Fei could also know who had entered. He immediately used the heavenly eye to check, and what he saw surprised him. Why did this person come in? Chapter 52-56. This surprised Lin Fei. He actually saw Luolan. If it was anyone else, it wouldn't have mattered. However, Luolan was a completely different person. Why was Lin Fei here? This was the primordial land. Just look at Shen Tianqi. This guy had already suffered a huge loss. If he hadn't run fast enough, he would have undoubtedly suffered a huge loss. But now that Luolan was here, Lin Fei was surprised. He even looked at him several times. It was indeed Luolan. However, the old man wasn't with him. The old man was also very strong. However, Luolan was alone. His path was smooth and he seemed to be familiar with this place. A thought suddenly popped up in Lin Fei's mind. Could it be that the legendary gate of immortality was in this primordial land? When this thought popped up, Lin Fei was quite surprised. He didn't dare to believe himself. How could he have thought so far ahead? However, the possibility of this happening was quite high. Even Lin Fei would be in danger in a place like this. Not to mention what had happened previously. Just look at Shen Tianqi. It was indeed easy to die in a place like this. However, Luolan's words were completely different. He was familiar with the place and could even avoid some places. This was what surprised Lin Fei the most. This place was definitely mysterious. Originally, Lin Fei was prepared to explore it. Now that Luolan was leading the way, things were completely different. It would definitely be an eye-opening experience. Just like that, Lin Fei changed directions. He followed Luolan's footstep. Luolan was indeed quite amazing. However, Lin Fei was different now. He already had the God-fiend body. In the past, the eternal body was indeed quite strong, but now the God-fiend body was the most amazing. Although there were many bumps along the way, he still followed behind easily. Nothing happened. Instead, Luolan was very careful. The deeper they went, the more cautious they became. They even set up layers upon layers of trap. Those who were unaware of the situation could easily bump into them if they were not careful. At that time, his life would definitely be in danger, and it wouldn't be any better. There was no need to guess to know that Luolan must have suffered a loss last time. Therefore, at this time, he was especially careful, afraid that he would be followed again. Who said that female experts had no thoughts? She had quite a lot of thoughts. However, in Lin Fei's opinion, these methods were indeed fierce enough, but it wasn't too difficult to break them. All he had to do was follow Luolan's path. Just like that, he kept following her. After a few days, they arrived at a particularly inconspicuous place. This was actually a place where time and space flowed. Luolan took out a treasure and placed it above her head. Streams of light flowed down. Just like that, he walked in. The power of time and space separated, forming a passageway. It was hard to believe that there was such a path in this place. Lin Fei could see that the power of time and space here was so strong that it could easily destroy an eternal-level expert. Luolan's strength could be considered strong, but he still had to be well-behaved in this place. One could imagine what kind of situation it was inside. I don't know if my God-fiend body can withstand it. If I can't, it will be a little difficult to go in. Her treasure is most likely a peak eternal existence, or even a celestial immortal level treasure. I can feel that this treasure is very different. Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry to go in. He just watched Luolan go in. Then, he blasted a spot in a place. Then, he went in. It was just as he had imagined. There was really a big secret behind this. In a place like this, if one didn't see it with their own eyes, no one would believe that there was a problem here. Even Lin Fei was the same. But at this time, he believed in his own guess. This Luolan should have some secret. Especially in this place. Lin Fei felt that it was very mysterious, and without a certain level of strength, one couldn't go in at all. A place where even eternal experts had to stare at. He took a deep breath. Lin Fei walked in. As soon as he walked in, he saw the power of time and space flying down. With every attack, it became a little weaker. At the same time, the power of space kept crushing down. God-fiend body, open for me. Just like this, it was a bit unbearable. He had to open his God-fiend body. Chapter 52-57. When he didn't activate the God-fiend body, Lin Fei could only hold on for a short while. If it went on for too long, he would feel like he couldn't take it anymore. If he didn't do it well, he would collapse. Hence, he activated the Godfiend body right away. As soon as the Godfiend demon body was activated, it became exceptionally different. It became exceptionally powerful. At the very least, the resistance was strong. The runes formed a great wall, blocking the power outside. The power kept attacking the runes. There was actually no chance of winning for a short while. This allowed Lin Fei to finally heave a sigh of relief. He could only rush over as soon as possible. There wasn't any special technique here. It was just a combination of time and space. It was indeed very domineering and terrifying. Eternal bodies wouldn't have a good ending if they entered. Only his Godfiend body could do it. Even his Godfiend body was riddled with cracks. Lin Fei shuddered in fear when he saw this. It was truly incomparably terrifying. The more it was like this, the more curious Lin Fei was. What was inside that was worth him coming here personally? If it was the so-called celestial sect, then he would definitely be in luck. Very soon, Lin Fei found the so-called point. This point was quite inconspicuous. If one didn't have a certain level of strength, they wouldn't be able to sense it at all. Lin Fei's punch landed on this point. This point could only be blasted open with great strength. Of course, the strength had to be within a certain range. If it was too small, it wouldn't budge. If it was too big, it would exceed the limit. It was really quite different. Fortunately, Lin Fei remembered it clearly and knew how to break open this place. This punch instantly created a passageway. He didn't feel any dangerous aura. Lin Fei did not think too much about it and directly rushed in. Then, he came to a barren place. There didn't seem to be any signs of life in this barren place. Even Lin Fei sized up this place curiously. It was as if he had come to the wrong place. It can't be. Did I come to the wrong place? That's impossible. I didn't sense anything wrong earlier. This is where Luolan came from. Lin Fei was really surprised. This place was different from what he had imagined. He had thought that there would be a grotto heaven mystic realm here. It seemed like this place wasn't even there. It was like a place that had been destroyed a long time ago. Could this be the place where one ascended to the immortal sect? Lin Fei had more questions in his heart. He immediately opened his heavenly eye. As soon as he opened his heavenly eye, he saw the whole place. This place was indeed very desolate, and there were ruins everywhere. At the center of the ruins, Lin Fei finally saw Luolan. Luolan was standing in front of a huge grave. His expression was very sorrowful. He could even hear Luolan's voice. "Master, I've come to see you again. I went out for a bit, but I ran into some trouble. Although I acquired the magical laws of time, the outside world is far more dangerous than I could ever have imagined. Reviving the immortal sect is going to be very, very difficult. But I'm not going to give up. I'm definitely going to rebuild the immortal sect." Luolan's voice was filled with vigor. Within the heavenly eye, Lin Fei came to a sudden realization. This was the place to enter the immortal sect. They had fought in the past. "You're here, sire. Why don't you come out?" And he had even fallen into the trap of the house of God ordainment. Chapter 52-58. Lin Fei was quite surprised because Luolan seemed to have sensed that someone was coming. This was quite unbelievable. Along the way, Lin Fei really didn't bump into anything. He didn't expect Luolan to react so quickly. Could it be that she had learned her lesson and reacted faster this time? Or did she bump into something along the way? Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry and decided to take his time to observe. Luolan seemed to be trying to scare him. Who asked this fellow to be so smart? Therefore, Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry and wanted to see if Luolan was bluffing him. It wasn't that easy to bluff him. "Are you not going to come out? Or do you think that I am bluffing you? Then you are thinking too much. This is the old site of Celestial Sect. I have a special ability here that can sense anyone coming here. I know that someone is coming, but your methods are quite powerful. Can you come out and meet me? Or are you afraid of me alone? Lin Fei finally knew that Luolan wasn't praising him. She really knew that someone was coming. So this was the old site of Celestial Sect. He really couldn't tell. Looking at the ruins, Lin Fei could imagine how intense the battle was. Celestial Sect was destroyed, and even the entire sect was destroyed. No wonder Celestial Sect was so low-key. Even when they traveled the world, they were exceptionally low-key. Now, he had finally learned something new. Ha ha, as expected of the Celestial Sect Saintess. You are indeed different. You can even sense this. I thought that you would never know. Seems like I was thinking too much. Just as Lin Fei was about to show himself, a figure walked out from the void. Behind him, there were 5 other figures. The 5 figures were all wearing ghost masks and were standing behind him. However, as soon as the 5 of them came out, they didn't move at all. In an instant, Luolan felt immense pressure. Long time no see, Luolan. I didn't expect that the saintess of this generation would actually start to roam the world. Lin Fei was startled. It can't be. I thought they were talking about me, but it turns out they were talking about someone else. However, this person's methods were quite powerful. He didn't even see him just now. Could it be that he had just arrived? Other than this explanation, Lin Fei really couldn't find a second one. Anyway, someone had come out, so he wasn't in a hurry. Lin Fei could see that this person was quite capable, and he had known Luolan for a long time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such words. Prince Tu, I didn't expect it to be you. Long time no see. You brought so many people here. Are you going to take me back? Luolan seemed to have expected this. When she saw the person who had appeared, she was not too surprised. She just looked at him coldly. I don't know what you're thinking. You just want to take me away so that you can take the immortal seal in my body. With this immortal seal, you will have the qualifications to enter the upper realm and not die of old age in this world. I wonder if I'm right? As expected of a saintess. You actually know so clearly. Since you already know, will you take the initiative to hand it over, or will I do it myself? You know, in order to find you, it took me 200 years to find you here, and I even paid a high price to find this place. Hiding in a point of time and space, you are indeed capable. This Prince too was quite young, but his eyes were extraordinarily cold. At this time, he looked a little proud and quietly looked at Luolan. You also know that I brought the 5 of them here. Even if you were here, and this is your main battlefield, you wouldn't be their match. The 5 of them are now eternal-level powerhouses, and they have mastered special means. Crash! The 5 figures entered the void in an instant, and the void fluctuated. Luolan was a little surprised. I didn't expect you to master the method of the Reincarnation Emperor and suppress my strength. If I'm not wrong, these 5 should be the disciples of the Reincarnation Emperor. You refine them into something neither human nor ghost. Aren't you afraid of the descendants of the Reincarnation Emperor coming to settle accounts with you? Luolan snorted. In the dark, Lin Fei's eyes turned cold. Just now, he felt that these 5 figures were a little unusual. This aura was a little familiar, and now he finally understood. This was the aura of the Reincarnation Primordial Spirit. Chapter 52-59. You are indeed powerful to be able to see that. However, you are thinking too much. The descendants of the Reincarnation Emperor have disappeared a long time ago. No one has even managed to cultivate the Reincarnation Primordial Spirit. Do you think anyone can still find trouble with me? Prince Tu laughed out loud. You better make your choice honestly. Otherwise, I will have to do it myself. Although you are the strongest saintess of the immortal sect, I am not bad either. Luolan chuckled. I think you will regret it very soon. After all, not everyone can control the Reincarnation Primordial Spirit. Not everyone can refine them into such a state. Luolan knew someone. He had fought with someone who possessed the Reincarnation Primordial Spirit previously. His opponent was indeed very strong. Although he did not show it, Lin Fan could smell his aura. It was as if that person had broken through the limits of the reincarnation emperor's cultivation and reached a whole new realm. Luolan was the only one who knew about this. Because of this, Luolan would say such a thing. However, Lin Fan would definitely not take it seriously. He did not need Lin Fan to take it seriously either. It turns out that Saintus also knows how to say such words. Using such words to scare me is indeed quite boring. The reincarnation emperor died long ago. Even his disciple is gone. I think it's better for me to take action directly. I've recently obtained a few powerful treasures. I'll let you have a look at them. Whoosh! A picture scroll unfurled in the air. As it unfurled, the entire world started to stop. This is the imitation treasure of the River of Time that I obtained. It can suppress the space and time of this pill. No matter how strong you are, you will not be a match for me. After the scroll was unfurled, there was indeed a huge problem with time and space in this area. Even Lin Fei, who was far away, could sense it. However, he felt that there was something else in Luolan's words. Could it be that Luolan knew that he had followed him? That was possible. After all, Luolan was smart, so it was normal for him to know about it. Lin Fei wouldn't interfere with other matters. However, this matter was different. No matter what, he could not do it anymore. Refining the reincarnation emperor's disciple into such a state was definitely not a good thing. In other words, this prince too wasn't a good person. Just this alone is pretty good, but it's still quite difficult to take me down like this. What other tricks do you have? Bring them out and let me have a good look. The painting crown prince thought that Luolan would be shocked when he took out this treasure. He didn't expect Luolan to be so calm. The Saintess was indeed the Saintess. She was different. Looks like you won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. I'll fulfill your wish. With a whoosh, the 5 black shadows attacked in an instant. He had used the reincarnation emperor's methods to suppress Luolan's strength. This method was indeed quite powerful. Even if Luolan resisted, he would still be suppressed. In addition, the painting seemed to be at a disadvantage. Prince Tu also strode over. He raised his hand and a small grotto heaven world appeared. This is the netherworld that I have specially cultivated. Once you are suppressed in the netherworld, even a saintess like you will not be able to escape death. Now, if you come with me obediently, I will naturally spare your life. Otherwise, just wait for me to beat you into the netherworld. A grotto heaven world appeared in the palm of the painting crown prince. That grotto heaven world was filled with ghostly wails and wolf howls. The cold aura in the grotto heaven world was inferior to that of the Sunluo domain. There was even a terrifying aura of the netherworld emanating from it. Impressive, impressive. So this is your method? You even have the netherworld. You must have a lot of capital. Capital? What did that mean? Luolan suddenly moved and raised his hand. A cold light directly slashed out from the ruins, slowly advancing. In an instant, the painting crown prince's eyes widened and his entire body trembled. Luolan, you actually laid out a big move. Whoosh! The 5 figures were sent flying. Next, the painting crown prince's body shone with a dazzling jingguang. Rays of divine light kept bursting out. Even so, it was extremely difficult for him to hold on. It's a pity that this method of yours still can't kill me. The painting crown prince sneered as he resisted the attack with great difficulty. Chapter 5260. Just now, the painting crown prince felt that it was very strenuous. Just a little bit more and he would have been killed. Fortunately, he had brought a lot of treasures with him, so he was able to withstand it. Even so, he was still terrified. Luolan was too cunning. He had hidden such a trick. If it was someone else, they would definitely be killed. It's a pity that you don't have any other tricks up your sleeves. I don't believe that you can use this trick a second or third time. You have no chance at all. Without his 5 subordinates, the painting crown prince felt a lot of pressure. However, it didn't matter. As long as he didn't have this trick, he was confident that he could severely injure Luolan. He took him down. Whoosh! A fist pierced through his body. The painting crown prince lowered his head and stared at the incoming fist. He was dumbfounded. There was someone else here. Then, his mind went blank. Cracks spread all over his body. He wanted to turn back, but he couldn't. His whole body broke into pieces. Lin Fei attacked, and at the most crucial moment, he made his move and directly killed this so-called prince too. Right now, his strength was naturally incomparably strong. After all, his body was no longer the eternal body. It was the famous Godfiend body. With one punch, he smashed the painting crown prince into pieces. He didn't even have time to react before he was killed. Luolan smiled. I knew that you would come. I didn't expect that we would meet again under such circumstances. You helped me a lot last time, and this time, you helped me a lot again. Lin Fei knew that Luolan would more or less be able to sense it. Lin Fei could tell that the painting crown prince had a deep understanding of this place. Even if Lin Fei didn't show himself, Luolan would make him show himself sooner or later. However, the painting crown prince was one step ahead of him. Lin Fei didn't expect him to train the reincarnation emperor's disciple to be like this. Naturally, Lin Fei would not let the matter rest so easily. He could tell that Lin Fei would not let the matter rest so easily. What did Luolan mean by that? Did he mean that it was his turn to kill this crown prince too? If the reincarnation emperor's disciple wasn't here, Lin Fei wouldn't have come out so easily. It didn't have much to do with him, but things were different now. He came out and heavily injured Prince Tuesday. Shun Dao wanted to test how strong the legendary god-demon body was. In fact, the godfiend body was indeed very powerful. A single punch made him realize what it meant to be different. Yeah, we meet again. I've helped you twice, so how should you thank me? Don't tell me he's going to treat me to a big move like he did? I can't take it. Lin Fei smiled. Luolan smiled. That's impossible. Do you think I'll do anything to you now? Luolan was indeed extremely shocked in his heart. He did sense someone coming. At first, he thought it was Lin Fei. After seeing the painting prince, Zhang Xian felt that something was amiss. There was another figure hiding here. His instincts told him that it was the person from last time. The probability of that happening was still very high. Luolan didn't know why she had such a thought, but it was what she was thinking. The probability of that happening is very high. In the end, he was right. He killed the painting prince with one move. The power of this punch seemed to be even more domineering than the last time. Shen Tianqi could still take it last time. However, this time, the painting prince was obviously stronger than Shen Tianqi. He had more treasures and his defense was stronger. Yet, he was punched through just like that. It was really unbelievable. Luolan couldn't see through the young man in front of him. What kind of background did he have? How could he appear here again and again? This was the ancient ground. It wasn't a place that just anyone could enter. It's not suitable to talk here. There's another place over there. Why don't we sit down and have a chat? Lin Fei didn't have any objections. Luolan took Lin Fei to another place. There was a small cave here. It was very small. Luolan brewed a pot of tea. The tea contained a dazzling divine light. It was very different. Chapter 5261. At the same time, in a study room, a figure coughed out blood and opened his eyes. He stretched out his hand and a bead in his palm shattered. This person was Prince Tuesday. I didn't expect that chasing after this Luolan would cost me a primordial spirit and 5 subordinates. This primordial spirit treasure is gone just like that. Until now, I still don't know who killed me. Prince Tu couldn't believe it. His mind was blank and he couldn't sense the aura of that person at all. It could only be said that the other party was simply too tyrannical. That punch did not contain much strength and was purely based on his instinctive strength. Yet, it pierced through all of his treasures and defenses. Just like that, he was killed. The painting crown prince had never encountered such a situation before. This was the only time he had encountered such a situation. In any case, he was also an eternal level powerhouse. Could it be a top-level eternal level powerhouse? If it was a top eternal realm expert, how could he not know? It seemed that Luolan still had a lot of secrets. It was a pity that he missed this opportunity. Originally, he could have asked for the whereabouts of the immortal seal. It was a pity that he missed this opportunity. Prince Tu was really unwilling, but now he knew better than anyone else that it was too difficult to deal with Luolan. There should be other experts around Luolan. He probably lied to him. However, I have to vent my anger. Since I can't do anything to you alone, I'll spread the news. I believe that the person with the immortal seal should be very interested. When that time comes, let's see how long you can last. I don't believe that person can protect you for that long. Those old monsters will also have ideas. Prince Tu went out. On the other side, Lin Fei slowly drank his tea. This tea was really good. It was the first time he had drunk such good tea. This tea could actually strengthen one's divine body, and the effect was very obvious. Even his god-fiend body had a slight change. This was the most special part. For those who didn't have a very strong body, drinking such tea could really improve a lot. After drinking a cup of tea, he felt much more refreshed. Good tea. Luolan was shocked again. This tea was no ordinary tea. He could only drink it slowly. Up until now, he had only drunk about a third of the tea, but the other party had actually finished it in one gulp and was completely fine. The other party's body was simply too strong. Even an Eternal couldn't handle this kind of drinking. He had gained a lot of knowledge. It's just a little tea. It's nothing. If you want it, I can let you bring some back when you leave. I can't drink that much anyway. Luolan didn't mind at all. Then I won't stand on ceremony. This thing is quite beneficial. Lin Fei was very straightforward. This is the old site where we used to visit the immortal sect. Later, a great war directly turned it into ruins. Every once in a while, I would come here to sit for a while because my master and friends all died in this battle. Lin Fei listened quietly. Because our immortal sect has a key to the upper realm, everyone sees us as a thorn in their side. They think that we are blocking their path to ascension. We really don't. It's not that easy to go up. Without a certain level of strength, we can't fly up at all. Even if we can fly, we will die halfway. Must you be very funny? It was originally used to protect them, but in the end, it was used to block their path. In the end, none of these people had a good ending after entering. Only a few succeeded in ascension. Then it's a game up there. Even if they ascended, they would live a life worse than pigs and dogs. Luolan seemed to be very emotional as she said while drinking tea. Lin Fei suddenly understood. He didn't expect there to be such a secret here. If Luolan hadn't taken the initiative to say it, he wouldn't have known at all. Then do you think you still want to go up there now? Luolan took another sip of tea and looked at the young man in front of her. She didn't know why she said this today. She didn't know if the other party already knew, but even if he wanted to say it, she could feel it. This black-robed young man probably didn't have much evil intentions towards her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have helped her so much twice. That Prince Tu was also a young master of a big force. Not everyone could kill him just like that. Chapter 5262. Most of the time, it was Luolan talking. Lin Fei was listening. Lin Fei listened in detail. He knew that Luolan had a lot of things in his heart. It was rare to find someone to talk to. As for why he wanted to talk to him, Lin Fei wasn't very clear. Since he had already said so, there was nothing wrong with being an audience. Anyway, it was nothing to Lin Fei now. Just like that. In total, it took him about half an hour to finish talking. Luolan suddenly changed the topic. He changed the topic. Thank you for listening to me for such a long time. Luolan didn't know why he said so many things. He felt that it was much better to say it out loud. He had a feeling that this black-robed young man wouldn't do anything to him. So, I decided to invite you to do something big. I wonder if you're interested. Luolan's words did surprise Lin Fei. Something big. You invited me to explore an entrance to the celestial world with you last time, but I'm not interested in this. I think this world is quite interesting. Lin Fei couldn't be bothered with these things. Wasn't it better to sign in peacefully and obtain some things? Lin Fei really didn't have the mood to go up. At the very least, he didn't have the mood to do so now. He didn't have many resources on hand. He would still be at a disadvantage if he went up. Moreover, he could tell that he wouldn't have a good life down there. If these words were said by someone else, they naturally wouldn't have much deterrence. But when it came from Luolan, it was completely different. There was definitely a problem. I think you must have misunderstood. The big thing I'm talking about isn't exploring some mystic realm with you. I'm telling you something more sensational. That is, in at most 40 to 50 years, our universe will become a training ground. How about it? Are you surprised? Training ground. Lin Fei's heart skipped a beat. These words didn't sound like a good thing. His mission wasn't completed yet. If he messed up this universe, then he wouldn't be able to complete his mission at all. That was a huge gift. What do you mean by this? It's impossible for this place to become a training ground. After all, there are so many experts in this universe. Not everyone can become a training ground, unless… Lin Fei thought of a possibility. Luolan smiled. Yes, this is the one you're imagining. In a few decades, they'll come to this training field and engage in the so-called Battle of Saints. This saint battle is different from the others. It's used to select the top monstrous geniuses. A universe will become a big compass for them. Up until now, only my people and I know about this. No one else knows about it. Of course, some top forces should have more or less received some news. What do you think will happen to this side of the universe after they come down? At that time, the flames of war will reach the heavens, so I want to cooperate with you. Luolan's tone became exceptionally solemn. Those guys are very strong and can be said to be top-notch monstrous geniuses. Each of them can burst out with eternal-level combat power. Coupled with some treasures, the situation of the battle can be imagined. How do I know if what you said is right or not? After all, such a thing has never happened in the universe before. Just based on what you said, I still don't quite believe it. Lin Fei shook his head. You don't have to believe me, but you can make preparations in advance. At most, in another 20 to 30 years, there will definitely be some changes. I can tell you a few sealed passages now. One of these passages should be opened, and when the time comes, they will come down. You can stand guard here, and you will definitely have an unexpected harvest. Luolan wasn't surprised. After all, no one would believe this news. Even this black-robed young man was the same. Then he could only tell this black-robed young man the truth. What she had said was right. There would indeed be a battle of saints soon. At that time, the situation would be completely different. These are the few places. I will give you the specific location now. You can go and take a look yourself. Anyway, I won't lie to you. I just hope that when you discover it, you can cooperate with me. Luolan said, I want to kill all of these holy sons,